You said that you love winning. What drives you more, the love of winning or the hate of losing?
Maybe equally, maybe both. I don't like losing, and I do like winning.
Say his name and he appears.
This is a friendship battle.
Greetings and welcome to Winning 2024. How's everybody doing out there this evening? Hope you're all doing and living well. So good to see everybody. Happy that you're here. Tonight we have a very special showing of The Art of the Surge, Episode 3. It's a dangerous job. And this is from the Tucker Carlson Network. It's exclusive for subscribers like myself. I do encourage everyone to subscribe if you can afford it. Link is in the description below. But I know that they want people to see this. So we're going to show it, and we're going to have a good old time. Look at Wolfram with the new avatar. Check it out. Nice, Wolfram. Very nice. Very nice. And thank you for dropping those links. Remember to listen to the wolf, even with his new avatar and all. And he wipes his paws, lips, and howls and bursts into flames, evidently. All right. We are here. Nafel, how's it doing? How's it going? Welcome to the show. How you doing this evening? We're going to have a good time tonight. Got lots of stuff for us. The Art of the Surge episode 3 is very cool. We saw a episode 2 when we did the let's see, what was that show? I'm thinking about it. When we did was it the one with oh yeah, the live debates, right? No. It was oh wait, when we did the historic return to Butler, PA, we played in episode 2 of Art of the Surge in the pre-show for that, or pre rally part of the show, which was the beginning. And yeah, so now we're going to see episode 3. It's pretty cool. I try to wait a little bit, after it's released to show it. But it's really good. It's really good. You guys are going to enjoy it. Let me say hello to some other people. Heidi, how you doing? How you doing? There's Shelly. She's here. She's greeting everybody. She's our hostess with the mostest. Shelly will be on with me. That's Talking Trash and Truth. This Saturday night for Winning Saturday Night. She comes on once a month with me, and we do good news of the week, and we do funny videos and all that fun stuff. So we'll be doing that. And thank you to all the members, all the YouTube members, scrolling at the bottom of the screen there. And also, thank you for supporting the channel. And also thank you to Shelly and Wolfram, who support us over on Rumble. We are, of course, broadcasting live on Rumble, X, and YouTube. And I'm happy to report that we are at top subscriber counts for all 3 platforms, like the highest number we've been at. So that's really great. Things are going and moving along, finding the base crowd to hang out with us. And we just do it. We get quality, man. Quality over quantity. That's the way we do it here. And we are just happy as can be with our little crowd here. All right. Let me see. I gotta refresh and put the links in here. And if it's your first time here, please consider liking and following and subscribing. You'll dig it. You'll dig it. I pride myself on having some kind of some unique content, even though some of it is you'll recognize. Certainly, I do media analysis of a lot of different content creators and try to keep it as based as possible, always. But I also have my take on it and my perception of how things are. 20 years of doing this stuff. Only been here on YouTube for a couple years on this channel, but I have been chasing down the corrupt establishment and everything that corrupts society and what kind of controls the minds of individuals out there for decades now. And that's what I talk about a lot. So if you like those kind of topics, you'll love what we're doing here. All right. Who else is rolling in here, guys? Welcome over on Rumble. Thank you guys for being here. Rumble is you got to hit that thumbs up on Rumble because that's what gets us out in the algorithm and gets us seen. I'd like to remember all of my remind everybody that we did do Under the Game on Mondays, and we did do our third episode of Big Intel by J. Michael Waller, chapters 7 through 9 of part 1. Doesn't seem like that one got out very well in the algorithm, so make sure you guys share it. If you haven't seen it yet, go listen to it. It's an amazing book. It really, really, really gives you the background on the cultural decay of what's going on in our intelligence agencies and in our country as a result of that. And I can't tell you how great this book is. I can you gas the crowd. I'll go on and on about it. It's an awesome, awesome book. Thomas, what's going on? How you doing? The other brother, the other brother, the other browser crashed. Oh man, that sucks. Let's see. Probably not going to type very much. Very congested, and reading the chat hurts my head at the moment. Her fingers are very congested. She's got congestion fingers. You gotta watch out for those. Gotta watch out for those. You get runny nails and all that stuff. Let's see here. I'm gonna just sit here and chat with you guys for a minute, and let some of the crowd roll in that wants to catch this awesome Art of the Surge episode 3 that we're gonna play. It's very cool. I mean, it's done high. It's super high quality. Comes from the Tucker Carlson network, and what it is it's a behind the scenes documentary of the Trump campaign, and it's really shows you some stuff you're never going to see anywhere else. We saw that sure enough from the episode 2, which covered July 13th, that fateful day in Butler, PA. Oh, there's a rhyme. All right. Also known as fat fingeritis. Well, he's a wolf. He might. Well, let's start this show off with a bang. I really got to get a new one of these, but this is a classic, instant classic.
It's cold. A big long Vietnam. It has to do. I can't imagine a more beautiful thing. It's cold. I can tell you all about it. I mean, look at this thing. When I find it, I don't anything.
Shelly, thank you so much for the 5 gifted memberships. Who got the lucky gifted memberships tonight? X Danny DLX, Raid Star, Joshua 420, Tina Nina, and M.E. Welcome to the winner circle, y'all. And if you happen to stop in to say thanks, Shelly. She's the one who did it for you. Right there, like Wolfram's doing so nicely. There we go. Heidi, I shared Monday's Rumble that night, but was censored again for spamming for clicks and likes. Even Dan Bongino was falsely fact-checked by Facebook. Wow, that's over the top. We're gonna have a little bit about Facebook's ongoing censorship issues tonight on Rig Watch. Tonight we're gonna be watching, of course, up front, the Art of the Surge, which I've been talking about. Then we're going to go into the border crisis topics. We'll have Vivek Ramaswamy chiming in with his latest video. And we're also going to have some other, like an update from Springfield about what's really going on behind the scenes. We're going to check in with Glenn Beck on location with interviewing FEMA in North Carolina. Let's see what else we got lined up here. Here's the headlines, the top stories. We're going to then look in on election 2024 issues, just the election, Kamala Harris, disaster stories and so on. I'm not going to show this tonight, but on Saturday, I'm going to talk about a new Trump documentary coming out by Hollywood heavyweight. That's going to really, really highlight all of the good things Donald Trump does. It's a counter to all of the slander campaign that's been going since 2016 against our President Trump, and it really highlights all the things all the good things he does for people and how he never doesn't really get out there and take credit about it. He'll brag about policies and stuff because, you know, he has to let people know what he's done because the mainstream media and other sources are too busy lying about it, right? So he has to keep reminding people these are the things that he's done, but he never talks about the generous behind the scenes, very nice things he does for individuals all the time, just because that's who he is. And he's always been that way. And that's what this documentary is going to be about. So yeah, Facebook censorship, man, I don't get it. They think you're spamming for clicks with me, huh? Man, they really don't know what they're doing. We're gonna have an update on the J6 investigation by the guy that we talked about. We had him on. He's doing the day in the life of Harry Dunn. He's doing all of the deep dive debunking of the J6 narrative. We're gonna have to do a little follow up on that. And if we have time, I got some poll watch stuff. There's some updates on polls and whatnot. So we'll see about that. We're at about 11 minutes. We'll start in about four minutes on the Art of the Surge, episode 3. It's a dangerous job. That's what it's called. Let's see. Dan Bongino's post was just a picture of all of the headlines about FEMA using funds for illegals. Man. Yeah, what was their fact check? What did they say? You know, that's amazing. Man, you know, these guys are going to be sorry one day they played this game. They're really banking on the corrupt establishment, you know, getting away with pulling a fast one. But we all know, just look around. We all know people are coming around and starting to figure it out. And the more they do this stuff, the more people wake up. You know, they don't even realize that, you know, their evil plot has backfired on them. You know, they don't get it. But you know what? We'll just keep letting them shoot themselves in the foot, and more people will see it. There's some people that are never going to turn around. The TDS people at this point they're subverted beyond belief. It's like trying to convince a flat Earth that the world's round. Once they've been in it for so long, they can't get out of it. There's a lot of other conditions that mimic that. And that's why I talk about how the human brain OS works, how subversion works, how information-based mind control works, you know, otherwise known as psychological operations or psychological warfare. These are all names for the same thing, really. But I call it information-based mind control. I think it's easier to digest that way, and it really kind of describes what I'm trying to get at. Is how information boxes people into a narrative they adopted as a belief system, and then it becomes almost impossible to get them to look at information. Like when I interviewed Jan Irving, I guess let's call him the Godfather of the Trivium. Let's call him that, right? He needs a nickname. Godfather of the Trivium came on my show. Doesn't do many interviews. He came on because of my passion for the Trivium and the fact that I had been following him for over a decade and appreciated his work long after he had moved on. So he actually did a really rare interview with me, and he laid out what the Trivium was all about and how important it is. As you know, the Trivium is part of solution culture. We want to get that Trivium education back into early education. We get to do it ourselves right now, and I highly recommend that you talk to your young kids about what logic is, what false premises are, what fallacies are, and make a game out of having them find fallacies and stuff, because that'll protect their mind. It's the mental antivirus against disinformation. And if you have that growing up, and that's just part of your primary platform there in your mind, you'll be picking them out and not falling for them, and you won't be able to get gaslighted by narcissists. It has so many uses in this world, from blocking out disinformation, subversion, demoralization, to defending one's mind against narcissistic attack. So, I mean, it's just a great thing. And when he came on, he said that
he won't read the facts because he's in this circular, ignorance where he's smarter than anybody who's read it. Somebody who hasn't read it thinks that they're smarter than, 2 billion people who have. So that's how they come at things. And so they will never look at the facts, no matter if you hand them the book and say, look, it says it right there. But it doesn't matter the topic. It could be about geoengineering. It could be about the Trivium. It could be about religion or the history of cannibalism. It doesn't matter the subject. There's always going to be people who think they know things that they have never read. So part of the trivium is going back to that knowledge: who, what, where, and when. Studying things before you pretend to know why they are, and then you can explain how you reached your conclusions.
Yeah, and that keeps you from doing this. Very important. If only Fonzie had had the trivium, he wouldn't have jumped the shark. You know, and then if you don't have it, you might fall for shit like
You
this.
also got to understand.
Yeah, that's leader right there. That's someone who's gonna do a good job for us, right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. How's it going, Memento, my friend? How are you doing? Welcome to the show. We're gonna get started here on Art of the Surge episode 3 here in just a second. Just making sure anybody else who wants to come in, I can get here. Let's see. But I'll be starting it here very, very shortly. Very shortly indeed. All right. I hope everybody's having a great day, a great evening. It's Thursday already. Man, the week flies by, doesn't it? No rabies shot for you. Don't be eating bats from the wet market, all right? Don't be doing it. All right. I think it's almost about time to get this thing rolling. What do you guys say? Let's do it. Who's out there? Who's out there on X? Thank you for joining us on X, by the way. X, how you doing out there? So good to see you guys. And I appreciate all the people that are following me on there. It's hard to get follows on X, but I do appreciate everybody doing it. I'm not some big name brand, household name streamer out there. I'm trying my best to get my information out, but I don't do a lot of the tricks. I don't have real sensational headlines. I don't grift. I don't do any of that shit. And for whatever it is, whatever reason, I'm not out there yet, but I'm trying. And you guys can help me by sharing and telling people about the channel and saying you should check out Unveiling Reality. He's got an interesting take on things. I think you'll dig it if you like the base take on the topics and you like having great coverage. And I do 5 streams a week. I was doing 7, but work picked up, so I'm not going to be able to do the morning shows now. But I did do an Unveiling Reality last night, which I hope people got a lot out of and enjoyed. We did some hurricane watching, and I went through some of the history of weather weapons and stuff like that. And we talked about the reality of whether or not every time a hurricane happens, if it's something like that, it just seems to be so routine now. It's like as predictable as people on the other side saying it's climate change, but it just gets old and it loses its steam. And so we did a lot of talking about that. We had some fun, and we watched the hurricane and all that fun stuff, hung out together. But anyways, I hope that's a special edition. That's a pop-up show at this point. So I hope everybody got a lot out of that. And I did enjoy hanging out with each and every one of you that was there. So let me go ahead and queue up our kickoff here tonight. And let me see. Okay. By the way, too, Line in the Sand, the James O'Keefe documentary from the Tucker Carlson Network, did drop. It is dropped. It is out. I'm gonna let that thing breathe for a minute because James O'Keefe put his life on the line. He went down there and did some man stuff, and some very brave stuff, man. Getting out there but literally putting his life on the line to bring this story to us. And I wanted to give it time to breathe, and then we will be watching it before November. I can promise you that, probably towards the end of the month, but I will show it. And it probably will be on all 3 platforms. It's not going to be able to. YouTube's not going to be able to screw with me and take it down. But anyways, it'll get out there, and I think that I'm a subscriber to the Tucker Carlson Network, and at some point it's marketing for their channel too, So I do like to give it a little bit of time to breathe. On this one just came out, but you know what? We're gonna watch it, guys. Here we go. Thanks for being here. Listen to the Wolf. Take a minute, check that you're on live chat and all chat. Maybe missing out on some great conversation, friendly banter. Yeah, don't miss out. Don't miss out. You guys will enjoy this. It has a lot to do with the border. Speaking of the border, And we're gonna go into a little bit more about this afterwards, and then we're gonna get on to election 2024 stuff. Rig watch. We always have rig watch, which is we're watching out for them, how they're trying to rig the election, being aware of it, talking about it, bringing light to it, and a lot of times that will dissuade useful idiots from actually participating. So we're hoping that's the case. But let's go ahead and get on with this, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, hey, MLS, how's it going, my friend? How you doing? The border is a war zone. Yeah, we're gonna, like I said, we're gonna be watching that line in the sand. It's a great documentary. I watched a little bit of it already. It's freaking awesome. Yep. Oh yeah, thanks for bringing this up. Obama is scared that enthusiasm is very low this year. Well, he should be. But thanks for bringing that up, because on Sunday, this week Sunday, we will be watching the classic documentary from I don't know, 10, 12 years ago. Dreams of My Real Father, which is a dive into Obama's history and the fact that his father may be Frank Marshall Davis, if not physically, which it seems like he looks more like him than his real dad. Let's put it that way, or the one he says is his real dad. But if not, definitely mentally his ideological father. At bare minimum, that's the truth. And we were just hearing about Frank Marshall Davis in our reading of Big Intel by J. Michael Waller on Unrig the Game on Monday. The name came up several times as part of the cultural Marxist movement to subvert the intelligence agencies and our country, which is in full swing right now as we speak. It's going on. It's been going on since the 50s. It's in full swing right now. That's why the deep state is so prevalent. That's why we have things like critical theory in our colleges and in our schools. We must get rid of this cultural Marxism to help protect our country and the minds of the people here, and to extinguish the subversion that's going on from that toxic mind virus known as Marxism. But yeah, Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern, myself and Talking Trash and Tues, Old School Watch Party Sundays. Of course, it is Halloween, so we're doing Halloween themed movies. So we'll be doing we do a documentary and a movie. The documentary is going to be Dreams from My Real Father by Joel Siegert. Classic back in the day Obama years documentary that came out about him. Take on his book, Dreams from My Father. This is Dreams from My Real Father. So when you guys see this, you'll be like, wow. But it talks a lot about cultural Marxism as well in that. And the movie is going to be Shaun of the Dead. It's like a train spotting zombie movie. It's pretty fun. So I hope you guys will join us for that. But let's get this started, guys. Here we go. I'm going to get down here in the corner and get out of the way. Let's hit it. On Art of the Surge, you see what's coming up next. What a great series. I mean, you really get to see behind the scenes. It's amazing footage. It's done so well, and it's incredible stuff. And thank God we have a platform like Tucker Carlson's network out there putting out great stuff like this. And thanks to them for being cool and let me show it without any interruptions. Very cool stuff. Very cool stuff. What'd you guys think of that, huh? Good stuff. You like it? Well, I'll be trying to show all of the episodes after they're released, of course, to help market Tucker Carlson's network, and also to make sure that everybody gets to see it, because not everybody can get that network, and I get it, so I'll bring it to you. There you have it. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I heard they're being taken to Navajo Nation reservations. Some of the illegals. Yeah, they'll do anything to destroy anything they can. Part of the plan. We talk about it all the time here. It's part of that Agenda 2030 plan. Bring us to crisis, subversion, bring us to crisis so they can roll us into their solution, right? They're normalize their solutions on the backs of the crises they create. And that is what it is. That's what's underneath the veils, way outside this idea of a left and a right. There is let me just put it like this.
You have people that are now realizing that, listen, this is not a left versus right thing anymore, okay? This is not a Democrat versus Republican thing anymore. This is establishment versus anti-establishment.
And the key truth is this: Kamala Harris is the establishment. Kamala Harris is the ultimate DC insider. Kamala Harris is the swamp.
Let's bring up somebody who's definitely part of the anti-establishment, not part of the establishment, for comments on his root cause of immigration crisis. And as usual, Vivek is spot on. Brand new. Let's see what he has to say.
Where I do think that the root cause, and I really mean this in sort of a root cause sense, not that it's another thing on the list of priorities, but it's pretty darn close to the existence of the root cause of so many of our perils right now. And even the immigration crisis, which I think is going to be a centerpiece in our discussion, is the existence of the nanny state in the United States. I mean, I think if you dismantled the nanny state, you effectively have solved 70+% of the immigration problem in the United States, because that's the magnet that draws people over. Yet what I've seen in our own conservative movement over the last 10, 20 years is that we've become reluctant to take aim at the entitlement state, but have become more vehement in our responses to the symptoms of the entitlement state, including the immigration crisis, but with a greater unwillingness to go to the root cause. So that's my own diagnosis, and if I may even say self-critique of the conservative movement. But I'll use that to maybe open up and give you a chance to not only talk about your book, but to be able to get into some of the topics we had teed up for today.
Well, that's very interesting. I think there's some corroboration for that viewpoint in the way American immigration differs from European. We have our problems with immigration, but there are certain problems that Europe has that we don't have. Europeans tend to tell pollsters that they consider migrants lazy or antisocial, and I think that even in the United States, when we have a very difficult situation with migrants in certain places like Springfield, Ohio, that is not the critique. And part of the reason is that, just as you say, we have a nanny state that is less well developed than Europe does, or to the extent that it is well developed, foreigners, including newly arrived immigrants, have less access to it than they do in Europe. So in Europe, every newcomer has a kind of a cushion that allows him, or has traditionally had a cushion, that allows him to just sort of follow his instinct where he wants it to go. And one of the reasons, for instance, that so many immigrants get into radical Islam is that they're sort of subsidized to do it. I remember seeing a statistic a few years ago that 2/3 of the imams in France are on welfare. In the United States,
how about that?
I mean, there's nothing wrong with being an imam, but in the United States, you are sort of forced into the workplace, which is where a lot of assimilation happens.
So what I have here.
All right, that coming up next, police chief exposes the reality of Springfield's Haitian migrant crisis. I did want to put this right here for a second, say hello to all the people who are joining us. And also, I see some chatter about immigrants being dumped on Indian reservations, Native American reservations, Indian reservations, whatever, however you want to say it. So let me see. American reservations. I'm gonna do this real quick while I can. Can't find anything about that. I'll look around and see if I can find something on that. I don't see anything off the bat on an initial search, but sometimes you got to dig for this stuff. So, let's see. Let's go ahead and check this out. This is let's go at winning speed here. And this is coming from The Blaze. And this is police chief exposes the reality of Springfield's Haitian migrant crisis. This is from the people that are having to deal with it day in and day out. Let's hear it.
Here is they have put out or non-towing suspensions. Now, if your license is suspended, you should not be driving. Right. Okay. So what would you do with the vehicle? Return it to owner, says. Okay, so if the owner of the vehicle is the person suspended,
why are you returning the vehicle?
Why would I return the vehicle to him? So, but yeah, there's a laundered list of.
So these are all cases.
Yeah, these are all tows.
Yeah, if you here in Georgia, if you are driving on a suspended license, whether you know it or not, and they'll pull you over and you will go straight to jail, and they will tow your vehicle. Some cops will be nice and give you maybe a chance to call someone to come get the car just to avoid, I guess, extra work on their end. And maybe they realize it's an unfortunate situation for you. You didn't know that you were actually driving on a suspended license. That happens a lot due to technical issues. But yeah, that's the way it is. So I'm wondering if that's how they do it in Ohio.
To forfeiture or immobilization, okay? There is your police tows right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
And this is in what time period?
This was put out to us in 2012. That's the last time they redid it.
Okay.
So, I mean, obviously that's old, but there's probably less towing now. But as you can see,
and so what's the public safety impact of that?
The impact is that people that shouldn't be driving are out there and they're allowing them to drive. And then when you have an accident, who's at fault? Then and a lot of these people aren't even getting cited after they get in the wreck. So everybody's insurance is going up. People are losing their lives. I mean, it's a big impact on.
And that's why when we were talking last time, that's why you guys make sure that you tow
their vehicle, because that is the only way to get them to stop, or at least try to stop them. I found hitting people's pocketbooks gets their attention, and a tow around here is about $400 when you're all said and done. And then they have the citation to pay for
taxes.
So it can be a big impact on people. But
all right,
I subsequently caught the same guy driving under a suspended license. I'm sorry, he didn't even have a license, coming through town at 44 mile an hour in a 25 mile an hour zone. That's the second time in 2 weeks
Wow.
You towed his car? Or?
Oh, yeah. Towed it for the second time.
But Springfield wouldn't have.
No. And the problem is apparently, if you look at the protective status for these refugees or immigrants, if you get 2 misdemeanors, you are subject to be deported. So right now, he's got 3. He's been caught in Vandalia driving without a license and here twice. So, but what will happen?
But right, it's a matter of there's going to be any repercussions, right? You were last time I was here. You said to me that the radio systems with Springfield had changed. Like, what exactly was going on with that?
Well, we were able to hear them on the radio, and apparently they have decided to go silent or incognito. However they decide to do it. So we don't know what's going on in the city. That happened the day they brought the state troopers in to help them out. So after that, we have no idea what's going on now.
And so does that make things harder to communicate with the city for if there's something that comes over here? Because I mean, you guys aren't that far away.
Yeah, well, that's exactly the problem. We were just talking about it, that there was a threat at the school today. I couldn't hear it. I just caught wind of it from another guy, from another chief that's something right next to the city.
Right.
And he had said, hey. So, that makes a huge impact for us, because if they have a shooting in the city or they're on a chase in the city and they end up in the county and I don't know about it, I mean, they'll come through. We've had them come through Tremont at 100 miles an hour.
They break the lines of communication.
Think about that. That's a 25 mile an hour street with little kids walking around on it, and they come through it.
Why would you think they would make things hard to communicate with other municipalities?
I think it's because of all the negativity that they've been receiving. All the immigration things and whatever. They just and people are complaining because they're not doing what other departments are doing. And so therefore, how do you alleviate that problem? Nobody can hear what you say and they don't know what you're doing. So they don't have to answer to
it. So Chief, what could have been the alternative way of doing this?
There was an alternative way that would have been beneficial to everybody involved. I just want everyone to understand that we're not against the Haitians. We understand anybody that has a heart, that has any empathy, has any intelligence. When your home country is the way Haiti is right now, you want to get out. You want to find safety and you want to take care of your family and yourself. So, and with that being said, if they would have brought those people over to America and they would have assimilated them to our culture, if they could have found just a one local centralization place to put them and teach them how to read, how to write, how to drive, how to get jobs, assimilate them to our culture. And then they could have took these people, and we would have already known that they had these in camps for them to help them out. And they could have went, to like Springfield, said, hey, Springfield, we've got 287,000 refugees from Haiti. Can you help us out? Can you take any? And Springfield's government little system there could say, we could take 20,000. So they send us 20,000 Haitians. Okay. Now, then they go to Xenia and say, Xenia, how many can you take? Oh, we could take 40,000. All right. So you send 40,000 there. So now you're not putting hardship on just one place. You're not just slamming them in and nobody knows what to do. They don't know our culture. They don't know anything about us. We don't know anything about them. So we assume the worst. That's how we are. So with that being said, if they would have taken the time, instead of worrying about the elites lining their pockets and just took the time, this could have went so much smoother and been so much more beneficial to everybody involved. But instead,
and so because that didn't happen, how do you think this ends? Or what do you think is the end result?
Well, we're seeing the end result. You've got a city that's in absolute turmoil. Everybody's against everybody.
Evelyn,
I spoke to a young Haitian lady that I pulled over on the weekend, and I talked to her, and I said she had drove through a roundup area. Everybody was doing it, and it was just set there for the weekend. They had just paved the bridge. Everybody was able to drive over. Your normal traffic was allowed over. So she had her license, she had her insurance, she had her registration. Everything was squared away. So obviously that didn't result in any citations or anything. And we talked for a little bit, and I said, it's a little crazy in Springfield right now. And she's like, yeah. I said, well, I just want you to understand that we're not against you Haitians. Okay. We want you to be here. We just don't like the way our government puts you here. It doesn't help you. It doesn't help us. And she started to cry. She's like, I thought you guys just hated us. I said, no, it's not you. It's the way the government does things. So, we kind of build a little bridge there, and that's what it's all about. I don't have a problem with them. I understand what's going on in that country. I read, I listen. I've been there. I know what that third world country's like. So I can't blame them for wanting to come to a better place to better themselves and their family and their lives, So, but the way that it was done, the end result is we're just going to constantly have turmoil because they don't know how. They haven't adjusted to our culture, and we are not going to adjust to theirs, obviously. So here we are. We're, I really don't know what the end result will be, but right now it's not good.
It's not pretty.
It's not good for either side, and that's a shame. So.
Yep. And while it's part of the biggest problem that's going on, confidence in our government, this agenda they have, right? They're doing things in a very bad way. Haitians aren't coming across the southern border. they're being flown in, right? But the whole process of flying them in, they should be bringing them in, vetting who they're bringing here, right? Vetting who they're bringing here. And they should have to, go through an assimilation of sorts before they even are dropped in any place at all. If that's what you're trying to do, if you're really trying to help people escape a bad situation in Haiti, and it is bad there, trust me, it's very bad. It's one of the worst places on earth, I think, to live right now. And you can take the Clinton Foundation and other people that have been screwing over that country forever, but they're kind of caught up in this whole situation as well, with the open borders. And it's just this whole idea is like, we already have a border issue. But yet we're trying to drop tens of thousands of people that don't know the language, that don't understand the laws, the rules, anything else about the country in small towns in rural areas. That's a weird strategy. It's sus to the max. It shouldn't be happening. And if they're really trying to help these people, they would, give them a place to learn how to assimilate, right? I hate to use the word education camp, but I mean, they already have asylum facilities everywhere, right? And those aren't for education either. Those are come here, hang out, get your goodies, and wait for things to happen so you can leave or go somewhere else or whatever, right? which is awful as it is. It's incompetent. It's a bad system as it is. But if you really wanted to say there was a plan to help people in a country like Haiti, you have a facility where you bring them in small groups, right? And they go to a point where they got to pass a certain amount of tests to be let into the larger population. And if they can't, or if we find out while they're there, they're a criminal, they got some bad habits, they're trying to commit crimes, whatever, then they can be taken out of those safe and secure facilities and put somewhere else. I mean, that doesn't seem like that would be that hard to do. And it seems like it's a lot more humane than just dropping them in a place and then having something like this happen to Americans. And, people are seriously getting injured, losing property, losing lives. It's insane. And again, the fish rots from the head down, and the incompetence of the establishment is not only inherent, but it's intentional, right? When you have corruption and incompetence at the top, the rest will follow. The rest will follow. Let's check in with see what's going on at the FEMA facility. Let's see, FEMA officials in North Carolina. Shocking interview here. Let's check this out right now. So yeah, people don't seem to understand that our resources are not endless. Yeah, exactly. And that it takes a tax on all of us. Like we're supposed to just, suffer because the world suffers. That's globalism, guys. That's globalism. And that's being slowly normalized to these different individual small crises. Death by 1,000 cuts. Let's go.
Well, they have to move
they're
out.
moving chairs.
FEMA truck.
Okay. This is the
Couple
first one you've
lawn
seen,
chairs.
right?
In Asheville.
Hey guys, good. How are you?
What can I do for you?
Well, I'm Glenn, and this is Congressman.
Congressman Mills, how you doing?
We're
man?
just wondering what you guys are up to.
So they brought this in today, which gives us connectivity, complete connectivity, so we can do a lot more than we've been doing because all of our equipment works now. So they're registering. They're telling them over there. We're over here. I think tomorrow they're moving us over there somewhere more, but not exactly.
And what are you doing? So what is it?
Actually registering people for FEMA systems.
Okay, so this is the check thing.
Getting them in the system. Not just to check things, but housing, checking generators.
Okay.
So long housing.
Yeah, good. Good.
But we're basically getting them in the system. You guys got here today? We've been here for 2 days. We got here yesterday. Yesterday we didn't have any connectivity, so we took 2,800 people, as near as we could count, coming through the food distribution line and through the gas station and handed them off flyers. We didn't even have flyers to get them. Our flyers weren't here. But they could take pictures of our flyer. They're told them
I like it, Kelly. I like it.
Giraffe to go online just to get them in the system. Also telling them they're going to be here eventually. They'll be at the RC located nearby at the Central Recovery Center, and they go there for help. But the app is great. The app, they can go on.
I agree, Ellie. We need
the app, so they don't need it.
Can I ask you a question?
We have to
One of the biggest problems, though, is that most people don't have the ability to even get on their phones to verify what is going on. How does people even know this application exists?
You guys hear that?
That would be the news media's job to tell everybody.
But they don't have power.
None of the news media. Well, I mean, I watch the news.
No, the people who need the FEMA systems don't have power.
You'd be
So how do they watch
surprised.
TV?
You would be surprised. They sit in their cars to charge their phones and listen to the radio. They're very well. That's how they knew the distribution center was here. So they knew. We're told to come here to get those supplies, and they don't know we're here really until they get here and we tell them they see us somewhere.
But it is plausible, though, that those who, one, are either cut off from the location because they're still rebuilding roads, obviously, not cable roads, or doesn't have power, won't know even where this truck exists or if it doesn't exist.
Right, and there's no way actually. So we're DSA disaster survivor systems, right? So what we actually do, we work items like these, and we actually go door to door. We go door to door and try to knock on every door in the county. And we go at the direction usually of the emergency manager because the fire chiefs are going to tell us where people are.
Yeah.
Things are devastated. So we literally go door to door.
So when does that start?
That's way above my head. You're talking to Peon Eddie.
Yeah.
You're not talking. Do you want to talk to my crew? You want to talk to my crew lead? Here, let me get my crew lead. She might have to be on.
But again, that goes back to my point, which is that, okay, so I need to fill out a form. I need to scan a flyer.
Yeah.
How do I know this exists? Oh, the local media. Okay, well, they don't have power.
Yeah.
They might not have a vehicle.
Right.
So what?
I saw a lot of them washed away.
That's right.
Hi.
Ma'am, how are you?
Hi, Patricia. I'm Glenn. This is Congressman Mills.
Hello.
How are you, ma'am?
Good.
So we're wondering, we just asked, when do you guys go door to door? He was telling that.
After we get the general stuff done, we got to hit the mass people first, wherever the mass people are. So the mass people are here. Let's get them into the system as quickly as possible. Once we get masses done, then we start going door to door.
Okay. How do people know you're here?
We just got here.
Oh, you just got here?
We were here yesterday.
Yeah.
And today's our first day
Okay.
with this unit.
Yeah.
And then tomorrow we're going to move the unit up by the car wash.
Oh.
Yesterday we couldn't do anything besides give them the information because we didn't have any Wi-Fi.
Right.
I will say, and this is just someone who's, we got lucky enough. Glenn actually spotted it before I did, but I think even having this vehicle more towards the front of the road where people even know that it exists, but for visibility, with people coming by, might actually.
Yeah, we were in a van with 8 people. I was the only one that saw it.
No, that's what we're going to do. That's what we got to do. We just needed a temporary spot to turn around and get things up and running.
Yeah,
and the guy that's running this facility here, I spoke with the manager here. He said this would be a good spot. The guy that's running the parking lot, who's a different guy, I didn't know that. He said, so the car wash would be better. And I was like, boy, that's really smart.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's where we're going to be set up tomorrow.
Good.
And we should be doing registrations. Well, we'll be here between 9 and 10. We're all coming in from Charlotte. He'll be here a little bit earlier. And then we'll start tearing down about 5 o'clock so that we can get out of here.
Great.
Because we don't necessarily go door to door. It's not my cadre anyways. There's 23 different cadres.
Oh, I know. I understand how the bureaucratic levels of departments work.
Yeah. So
they don't always work fair together.
Yeah, we concentrate in getting people into the system so that we can get them financial assistance right away.
That.
And it's happening like that. Are you guys recording me?
Yeah, he's filming. Yeah, we're here. He's
Okay.
filming us.
So, one of the first things that are coming out is special needs assistance.
Right.
And that's just a little bit of the account. People are going to think automatically that that's all they're going to get. No, that's not the case. That's just the beginning. That is just the beginning, because then there's going to be another much larger drop, and then there's going to be other things. But we still have to go through and verify the damages that have been done.
Yeah.
And that you own the house and that you are the
so
renter.
you can limit the amount of fraud which we've seen in other areas.
We got it. Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
We are all from different parts of the United States. I'm from Montana.
Oh, are you really?
Florida.
I'm from Texas.
Where are you guys from? Where are you guys from?
I'm from Tennessee. I'm working out.
These are official
What
first day.
a bunch of bullcrap that was.
They got here yesterday. Official first day. We're tucked away almost.
No, she's where the masses are. She's where the masses are.
Well, again, though, it still hasn't answered the question, which is that.
Adam was
You're in
still-
an area. Yeah.
No, she was up. She's where the masses are. Can't you see the masses lined up? They're not even in the right side of the parking lot. You want to be where the masses are, you put signs at least, or stupid little table in front of where the food is.
And she said, but then you question, you said, when? He goes, well, that's above my head.
Yeah, and then, so let me talk to my manager. Oh my gosh. And then the manager said, no, we don't go door to door. I don't know when that happens. That's a different department. Oh my god.
You're kidding.
No.
Exactly what was happening.
No, it was that is.
When Glenn went silent, I knew he was done with this.
Oh, I was done from the very beginning. I could see these guys.
But again, though, you wouldn't have even spotted them, Glenn.
I know, good eye.
Who knows that they were back here? And again, my recommendation I thought was pretty common sense, which is, hey, for more
Move
visibility,
there.
maybe you put yourself on the main road.
Yeah.
You want to serve the quote-unquote masses. Let's go ahead and get mass visibility.
The food and the stuff is down there. Their truck, which just looks
Hiding
like a
back here.
community, it doesn't have a sign, hey, register for money, or register for help. Just a communications truck.
Right.
And 2 people sitting at the table.
If you saw that, would you know that you're signed up for
No,
assistance?
I didn't know it.
Wow, that's the sign up for FEMA.
Yes, that's it.
Yeah, that's it.
You found it.
No,
Yes,
it
no
is.
way.
That's
Put
what they're
themselves in the quiet corner in the back.
That's right.
And you ready? They said, we said, how do people know? Well, they're watching TV and they're listening.
It's up to the
They don't
media.
have homes.
That's what they literally said.
It's up to the
I said, so let me
media
get this straight.
Wow. Holy cow. And like I said, I think the whole theme of the night is going to be incompetence. If fish rots from the head down, I should have just made the thumbnail a rotting fish head. That's all we're seeing. That's all we're seeing. Speaking of incompetence and rotting fish head, let's get into our election 2024 coverage this evening. Kamala, oh dude, wait till you see this. Mark Dice is going to make me a little bit jealous in this video because he has a better clip than I do, but here we go.
As part of her new media blitz in the final few weeks before the election,
Winning
Kamala Harris
speed.
sat down last night with Stephen Colbert on CBS's The Late Show and produced what may be the biggest piece of cringe content ever. Maybe even eclipsing when the Fonz went water skiing in his trademark leather jacket
Look how
back
clear
in the
that is.
1970s in an
I'm so
episode of
mad.
Happy Days and jumped over a shark.
I got
which
it. I'm
then
gonna have to
coined the
re-record
term
it.
jumping the shark, signifying that it was the beginning of the end of a television season because they had run out of ideas and the series had become ridiculous. Brace yourself. The cringe is coming in 3, 2.
One of the old saws is they just want somebody they can have a beer with.
The voters, how the voters connect with the candidates.
So would you like to have a beer with me so I can tell people what that's like? Okay. This
She's
was-
laughing.
Now, we asked ahead of time because I can't just be giving a drink to the Vice President of the United States without asking. You asked for Miller High
can't
Life. Do you
stop
have a High
laughing.
Life? I'm just curious.
Okay, the last
Miller
time I
Lite.
had beer was at a baseball
Miller Swiller. Miller Swill?
game with Doug.
Okay, so
okay.
Probably 15 or 20 years ago.
Cheers. There you go.
Cheers.
There you go.
Okay.
Ooh.
That
Yep.
tastes like a
is
beautiful
not
city
how
of
you
Milwaukee,
drink
The
a
Wisconsin.
beer.
champagne and beer.
She drank the foam off the top. That's all she did. I mean, angry conservative. Here's some free money. I love free money. Thank you, sir. How have you been? Member for 6 months. Thank you so much. Thank you, man. How have you been? How's it going, angry conservative? We are seeing what the government really cares about right now. Yeah, the establishment is corrupt, and they only care about furthering their agenda on the backs of our labor to our demise. That's exactly right. She's a total lush. She's probably already drunk. Yeah, she's like, well, I don't want to mix wine and beer. He's like,
There you go.
Kamala Harris pretending to drink a beer in order to connect with voters makes Elizabeth Warren look like a frat boy on a Friday night.
My husband
remember
Bruce
this?
Remember her live stream
Oh,
when
what a
she
beer?
announced that
You open this
she
thing.
was president back in 2020
So this is my sweetie. Hello.
on New Year's Eve, doing her little live stream.
Hello,
with her
cuckold.
hubby. She thanked him for being there, and then did this.
So who we got here so far?
I'm
Stay
a
tuned
drunk
because
already.
there's plenty more to come in this video. But real quick, subscribe to my channel if you're new here because if you found this video, it's a miracle because my channel has been shadow banned for many years. So subscribe, check
I
back
know the
here
feeling.
on a regular basis. Camelface was also on The View this week where she made one of the biggest blunders in political history. They asked her what she would do differently than old Joe. Of course, with him ruining the country, flooding it
nothing.
with tens of millions of illegal aliens and bankrupting us. Her answer was nothing.
Well, if anything, would you have done something differently than President Biden during the past 4 years?
There is not a thing that comes to mind in terms of, and I've been a part of most of the decisions that have had impact.
Okay, so not only would she
Look at
not
that
do
face.
anything differently, she just took credit as being part of all of the decisions that have been destroying our country over the last 4 years. So last night, Steve
That was
Colbert tried to
Elizabeth
help her
Warren.
recover
Yep.
from that incredible
was.
blunder by asking her the same question. And her answer this time was her usual word salad.
Polling shows that a lot of people, especially independent voters, really want this to be a change election, and that they tend to break for you in terms of thinking about change. You are a member of the present administration. Under a Harris administration, what would the major changes be, and what would stay the same?
Sure. Well, I mean, I'm obviously not Joe Biden.
I noticed.
And so that would be one change in terms of, but also
Duh.
I think it's important to say with, 28 days to go, I'm not Donald Trump. And
Yeah, you sure are.
so when we think about the significance of what this
So no policies, no mistakes, no changes from the current administration. It's just that you need to vote for her because she's not Donald Trump. The media is working 24/7 trying to rehabilitate her image and sell her to the
Have some
American people. But
McDonald's chicken
thankfully,
sauce
not
on your
everyone
word
is
salad.
drinking the Kool-Aid, including this 11-year-old black girl.
It'd be good for us to have a black woman as president for the first
But since one isn't running,
time in history. Yeah. But my vote's kind of still on Trump.
Yeah. Kamala
Based-
also unveiled a new accent last night, sounding like a Jamaican because I guess she is partially of Jamaican
a load of
heritage.
this.
And
Get a
there's a
load
big
of this.
controversy about whether or not she's black because she used to market herself as the first Indian attorney general in California, first Indian senator in California. But now, of
Everybody
course,
says
she's black.
not black.
And so last night she sounded like this.
have empathy, man. For the suffering of
Have you no empathy, man? You know the suffering.
empathy, man. For the suffering
is
of
that?
other people. Have you no sense of purpose?
Oh, I have a purpose, all right. My purpose is to do everything in my power to stop you from becoming the next president of the United States. Of course, the liberal media industrial complex's goal is the exact opposite, and the old bags on The View are upset that, well, people like me exist and are able to present a different message than the mainstream.
People are saying this could be the closest election in a century. I
no,
personally,
it's not, dude. That's programming right there. They're trying to close the election. Man, nope. That's the whole thing. That's when you know they're going to try to rig it when they try to say that, man. That's when you know they're going to try to rig it. There's no indication that this is close. If you honestly look around, there's no indication that this is close, right? They got your fake polls, your ones that are done wrong, or the notoriously undersampled polls, right? And they try to say that that's an indication. Yes, he's going to get votes. Yes, they have mind control victims and party loyalists that are ready to bend the knee to the establishment so that they can then be wiped out by it later on. Yes, there's those people are out there. They're TDS and Marxist brainwashed, all that stuff, right? But it's nothing in compared to the Americans that are awake and aware and behind Donald Trump right now. Nothing in comparison at all. In a two-way, and they're going to try to say that it's close so they can try to do something. And I'm just hoping that we're ready for it. I
cannot understand why anyone would vote for him. A lot of it is, I think, he's getting bad information. People are getting bad information from other channels. But do you have an explanation for this at all?
Well, let me just add.
Oh, to see her rubber nose, that's a nonverbal tell. That's a nonverbal gesture right there, meaning that she is about to lie. And this is what a bubble or echo chamber these lunatics live in. They just can't even fathom why so many people don't like her and instead want to save America by voting for Donald Trump.
But do you have an explanation for this at all?
Watch this.
You can even hear her gulping on her microphone. Hear that?
Gulp,
but do you have an explanation for this at all?
Well, let me just add to your list. I mean,
Look down.
There she's laughing again.
Including, he has said he would terminate the Constitution of the United States.
Yeah.
What? That's a flat out lie. Look at her face right there. I mean, look at the face. She knows she just lied. She just said he'd terminate the Constitution. Are you kidding me? This is the Constitution Party. This is the one trying to save the subversion of the Constitution by the corrupt establishment, that are beholden to the global elites. No, elitist. No. This is the projection, right? Inverting reality. Evil always inverts reality.
And there she is doing what the Democrats always do, accusing Donald Trump of the very thing that they themselves are guilty of. Donald Trump warned that the Democrat policies are going to terminate the Constitution. And so now, of course, as usual, they're saying that he said that if he's elected, he would terminate the Constitution. And they keep accusing us of spreading fake news and conspiracy theories about FEMA by pointing out how much money has been wasted,
right, Angry,
resources wasted on the illegal aliens who have been invading our country. Like this New York Times article from just back in May of this year, admitting why New York City hotel rooms are so expensive. The average hotel room rate in the city is over $300 a night, a record, a major reason 1 out of every 5 hotels is now a shelter for the illegal aliens, contributing to a shortage of tourist lodging and, of course, wasting our tax dollars and jacking up the price of hotel rooms throughout all of New York. They used to brag about using our tax dollars to take care of the future Democrat voters, but now they want clips like this dumped down the memory hole.
So now the White House says that for those cities that they know are receiving an influx of migrants, that includes New York City, as you just said, Chicago, and here in Washington, D.C., there is somebody from FEMA, that federal emergency management agency, ready and willing to really help those cities when it comes to management of these influx of migrants, including reimbursing some of those cities. That's a part of the kind of the response that the White House is now giving.
When she says managing the influx of migrants, she means using our tax dollars to literally pay to put them up in 4-star hotels throughout all of Manhattan. Thankfully, Peter Doocy at Fox News is still part of the White House press corps who can confront Karine Jean-Pierre about these issues.
The administration has money to send to Lebanon without Congress coming back.
He's talking about Kamala announcing that she's giving Lebanon $150 million more of our tax dollars because Israel attacked them using their explosive pagers, because we're always cleaning up Israel's mess.
This guy looks like Ben Stiller's brother right here. What about this guy for press secretary? Maybe he would do good at that job.
The administration has money to send to Lebanon without Congress coming back. But Congress does have to come back to approve money to send to people in North Carolina. Do I have that right?
Thanks, everybody.
Okay, so this was a cheap fake, as you would say. But she didn't answer the question. She did get upset and did leave. But this is a joke. This is not, however, this is just another article from 2 years ago from New York City. Federal funds approved for cities handling the influx of asylum seekers. $800 million through FEMA, of course, to help the future Democrat voters become settled in New York. Oh, and James O'Keefe just posted a new investigation into MSNBC where they got one of their senior producers to sit down and admit that whatever Kamala's agenda is for the day is MSNBC's agenda.
So do you feel like MSNBC is doing enough to help the Harris campaign?
I mean, they're doing all they can. Meet Basil Hamden,
a writer and producer for MSNBC's weekend show, Iman. Basil also reveals that, quote, what her message of the day is their MSNBC's message of the day.
What have they done to help the Harris campaign?
Amplify her message. What her message of the day is their message of the day.
Hamden revealed that MSNBC is the Democratic Party's mouthpiece and is doing anything to get Kamala
There you go,
elected.
Angry.
Hamden
Make sure you
says
subscribe to him.
this news
It's awesome.
network is indistinguishable from the Democratic Party.
So is MSNBC just like doing whatever it takes to get Kamala elected?
Yes. The cameras.
Of course. No disrespect to James because he does fantastic work, but this isn't exactly like a big bombshell, but it is interesting to actually just see one of the producers on camera admitting what it is that they're doing. Me, on the other hand, I'm just an old school independent YouTuber, and subscribe to my channel if you're new here. And if you're a regular subscriber, please share my videos on your social media accounts and plug channel, asking people to subscribe. And maybe, just maybe by some miracle, someday we can get the channel up to 2 million subscribers. So thanks for all your support. Stay tuned, and I will see you soon.
All right.
For this segment.
All right, yeah, Mark Dice has been around since the early days of YouTube. He's an old school he's a media analyst, degree in media studies. He writes books. He actually wrote a brand new book called The War on Conservatives. That it's a very good book. He's a good author, and he does a great job with media analysis. You know, I don't agree. We're not 100% on all of our terminology and stuff, but I think that's fine. I think we're like 95% there. And actually, my son's reading his latest book. He's like on chapter 2 or 3. So it's good stuff. He's talking about, you know, public schools and wokeness and all stuff like that. Stuff, things that are important for him to know about. And I know Mark writes good books, and you know he does a lot of thorough research, and what he's talking about, he has his takes on it, and that's cool. But I trust him enough to let it be read in the house for sure. All right. Let me make sure this is on. Yep, it's on winning speed. All right, so this is going to be a bunch of numerous breakdowns. Kamala, let's see. Hold on, where are we at on time? All right. And after this report, we're going to go to into Rig Watch. I'm trying to just make sure I'm doing my timing right here with the pieces that I'm showing here. Let me just take a look at this real quick. Yeah, I think we're only gonna do like about 15 minutes. That's all right. Cool. All right, here we go. Just want to make sure I got my timing all straight on this. All right, guys, another shadow. See, like what I'm finding out what I'm doing here is I'm finding content. I'm showing a lot of old school people that I've been watching for a long time that I can trust, people that were part of the Ron Paul revolution, and also people like myself that have been shadow banned. They have much larger channels, much larger subscriber counts, but yet are facing issues, right? That YouTube has put upon them, and trying to limit their reach, trying to silence them without, outright just taking their channels away, which would cause a backlash because of their size and their notoriety. So like Mark Dice, he's been at like 1.3 million for years, right? And there's no reason that he shouldn't be growing like everybody else. And he realizes what it is, right? When you're over the target, you get the most flack. And there's no reason why his channel shouldn't be at 4 million subscribers by now. So he's shadow banned like you wouldn't believe, like a winning reality right there. Now my next content, I guess I'm trying to look for a word for it, whatever. The next person I'm going to bring up is Gary Franchi from Next News Network. Now he's also in the shadow ban category, but he's also been demonetized. Like he's been demonetized for absolutely no reason. He's got his own production. He's been doing this for decades, and there's absolutely zero reason why this channel should be demonetized at all, right? So I try to feature people that are not out there grifting or not out there, and they tend to do the best work. They may address some things, but they don't get all wrapped up in it. It's not, everything's not some capital letter bombshell that let's jump on something when we don't really know what we're talking about. These guys are a lot more thorough and they're a lot more seasoned. So I'm enjoying playing a lot more of their content here recently, and you can count on me adding media, analysis to what they're doing and going off that, since it's their full-time jobs. And, I do this as an, as well as work a full-time, as well as work a day job. So, it's great to have great aggregate, people who put stuff together like this that I can then go through, use my immediate analysis talents with, and then bring you guys the best news, the best information, right? And give you the base takes on these things. So here we go. I just want a quick little explanation. That back to back, we got two people that are definitely suffering from shadow banned and issues that they don't deserve because of a very unfair system. Let's go.
Here at the Next News Network, Tim Walz has insisted that the American public can trust him to fulfill his promises if elected vice president, despite allegations that he has lied in the past. Tim Pool posting 60 Minutes obliterated Harris Walz. Tim Walz gets called out as someone Americans can't trust. This is on 60 Minutes. Let's watch.
Isn't that in your debate with
me, bro.
JD Vance? You said I'm a knucklehead at times.
He's a knucklehead.
And I
Yes,
think you were
I'm gonna talk
referring to
about
the
a lot of
time that you said that you were in Hong Kong during the Tiananmen Square unrest when you were not.
Liar.
Is that kind of misrepresentation, isn't that more than just being a knucklehead?
I think folks know who I am, and I think they know the difference between someone expressing emotion, telling a story, getting a date wrong by rather than a pathological liar like Donald Trump.
But I think it comes down to the question of whether you can be trusted to tell the truth.
Yeah, well, I can. I think I can. I will own up to being a knucklehead at times, but the folks closest to me know that I keep my word.
In your debate.
Okay, so
he doesn't really think
see, the thing is, Timmy can't afford to have a knucklehead a heartbeat away from the presidency. The country can't afford that. Oh, I'll just admit when I'm a knucklehead. How about not? How about just pack your shit and get out? Okay? America doesn't want a knucklehead. I'm surprised that the 60 Minutes had the balls to push Tim Walz. And Elon Musk mocking Tim Walz, pointing out that he's a clown. Walz has his own emoji. And this specific post by Elon Musk was seen 23 million times. Walz has his own emoji. What are people even saying?
Sure does.
Crossings are down since Donald Trump left office, says Tim Walz. He should probably stop making verifiably false claims. Marjorie Taylor Greene press office. What would Kamala Harris emoji be? Paul Zappola says it's blatant lying. He repeated it for many years. Juanita Broderick. Walz equals clown. Fire. Gunther Eagleman. ALC has her own emoji. What is that? A donkey? Clown World certainly agrees. The honey badger's back. Oh, that looks like a mugshot, doesn't it? Elon Musk breaking the internet with just a few words and an emoji. Tim Young, Kamala and Walz made the perfect Trump ad. Yes, they did. Kamala claims she wouldn't change anything Biden did and help with everything. Walz says we can't take 4 more years. Let's watch this. I don't think this is a real Trump ad, but I think someone put it together, but it's perfect. It's perfect.
And would you have done something differently than President Biden during the past 4 years?
I saw this.
There is not a thing that comes to mind in terms of, and I've been a part of most of the decisions.
Can't afford 4 more years of this.
We just need to move past the failed policies that we have proven don't work.
I'm Donald J.
Right?
Trump, and I approve this message.
That's the best ad right there. That's the best.
And I've been a part of most of the decisions that have had impact.
We can't afford 4 more years of this.
We just need to move past the failed policies that we have proven don't work.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
Would you have done something differently than President?
I mean, who says
So
that?
good.
4 more years of this.
We just need to move past the failed policies that we have proven don't work.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this.
Who says that we have to move past the failed policies we know that don't work?
Right.
She's just admitting her policies are garbage. This is the language that comes out of her mouth. Okay, Trump War Room posting this. Kamala Harris calls for mass amnesty for millions of illegal aliens on day one, just like the bill the Kamala Biden administration introduced to Congress when they took office. You see, this is the bait they're using.
I mean, dude, with that, that's when you know that they just don't give a crap about it. I mean, this is proof. It's smoking gun evidence that that they absolutely want to destroy this country. There's no way in any stretch of the imagination this could work out in a good way.
This is the bait they're using to get people, all these illegals, to run for the border and cross it illegally in hopes that they can get them to vote, and then they get amnesty on the other side. This is the whole plan. It has been since day one.
To address the border. There remains this perception among voters that the Biden administration dragged its feet and waited too long to act to address the border crisis. Can you speak to why voters may feel that way?
Sure. Well, first of all, to your point, when we first came in office, hours after we were inaugurated, we
caused the crisis. See, that's what the hours after we got in, we caused the crisis. That's why we took so long to act on it. We had to let it fester, right? We had to let it fester. We had to let the crisis come to a boiling point, right?
bill we offered before infrastructure, before bringing down the cost of prescription medications, it was to fix our broken immigration system.
Yeah, we fixed it by letting everybody in.
And it never got taken up, in large part for political reasons, because solutions are...
Yeah, you never did it because you caused a problem so you could then later pretend like you had a solution. And then when people didn't want it because it had a bunch of pork baked into it, right? And, you know, a bunch of funding for other things that had nothing to do with the border, right? And any reasonable person would vote against that had, you know, had integrity or morals, principles, anything like that. You know, then you can blame them for the problem.
Are at hand, and we need to fix the problem.
There remains this perception among voters.
I answered.
We need to fix the problem.
I answered honestly.
You're in the administration, honey.
Yeah.
You could do it immediately. Daily Mail breaking some news. Doug Emhoff, the second cuck, Kamala Harris' husband, was known as a misogynist who retaliated against women who didn't flirt back at his L.A. law firm, according to an ex-staffer.
Of course.
Yeah. Doug Emhoff, former colleagues have come forward, say he refused to promote women who didn't flirt with him and would brag about yelling at women. Emhoff impregnated his nanny, accused of assaulting his girlfriend, and now we've got this story according to the Daily Mail.
Yep, of course.
And there is the, I guess they call her a trophy secretary. He hired this beautiful secretary, some eye candy at the front desk, but he's, of course, he's reshaping masculinity, right? Kamala Harris, she's got some new supporters in the porn industry. XXX for Kamala. Porn industry launches ads supporting Kamala Harris's campaign. Drew Hernandez pointing out how desperate they have now gotten.
I'm a horrible.
Joe Biden, of course, pulled a fast one during Kamala Harris's View appearance and scheduled a press conference right in the middle of it, one-upping her, showing they're not singing from the same song sheet as Biden said the other day when he one-upped her.
He's singing on the same song.
Now we've got, so here's the thing. Clandestine points this out. CBS ambushes Kamala and starts doing journalism, as you saw. We got some more clips from the 60 Minutes. Of course, they also did some editing, heavy editing of Kamala Harris.
We saw that.
But we've got the unedited version. Biden contradicted Kamala, said DeSantis is doing a good job. Markets shifting heavily to Trump. Seems too good to be true. Here is where Kamala Harris tells the COVID Fearmont merchants and shut-in Howard Stern that Trump is too weak to lead.
Howard the cuck. Howard the cuck.
Charlie Kirk points out this is the same guy who took a bullet and then stood up with his fist in the air and shouted, "Fight, fight, fight." Kamala Harris thinks that he's weak. This is the lie, and this is the misinformation and the dishonesty coming from people, because you saw with your own eyes what happened there about.
Who listens to Howard Stern these days? I mean, I don't know anyone who listens to Howard Stern, even on the other side. Like even the first Veilers that I knew, no one listened to Howard Stern. It's like listening to listen to radio from the early 80s or something.
On that fateful day, and then when he came back and looked death in the face.
Yeah, that's what I say.
She calls him
I
weak.
can't believe someone still pays that guy.
I think that, Howard, people ask me, what do you think is going on, and what is the tension here? What's at stake? And there are many things that I could be much more articulate than what I'm going to say. But ultimately, I do believe that this is an election that is about strength versus weakness.
Yeah, that's the
and
truth.
weakness as projected.
Yeah, it is strength versus weakness. You are the weakness, Kamala.
Yeah.
You are the weakest link.
Trump is the strength.
By someone who puts himself in front of the American people and does not have the strength to stand in defense of their needs, their dreams.
Sounds like Joe, but she's describing Joe Biden, right?
Dreams, their desires.
He doesn't have the strength to stand after he took a freaking bullet.
And after you wanted to sit down at the debates.
That's what she says. He doesn't have the strength to stand. This guy's done more for this country than you ever have, Kamala. He's not even in office right now.
The work that must happen to make sure that we are a secure nation, that we are nurturing and protecting our alliances around the world, that we are supporting America's military, that we are fighting to bring the cost of living down for working families, that we are building businesses, building.
Yeah, how are you doing that?
Yeah.
It's all empty words.
Yep.
We're fighting to bring down the cost of groceries. I still haven't heard a substantive plan.
Where?
I haven't heard anything.
Show us. Nuh-uh.
I mean, Kamala, you signed the bill that triggered this massive inflation that we are all experiencing. You were the tie-breaking vote, Kamala. It is on you. Don't try to gaslight me. Trump's not strong enough. It's absolutely absurd that she would continue to run this rhetoric.
Oh, yeah, but they lie because like.
Here's that.
Good.
This is that. The what do we call the trophy, the trophy secretary? That can't be a real picture. Come on, no, this has got to be like a Photoshop job. Okay, I got these clips, but of course you got Don Lemon over here.
Right at home with the ladies. Another day, another interview with the vice president. Today, she's on The View, and she seems right at home with the ladies of The View. I wonder how much more criticism she's going to get.
Yeah, she's just as dishonest and cringeworthy as they are. Of course she looks at home.
For supposedly not doing enough interviews. Is this enough? How do you think?
No, it is definitely not enough. Okay, is this enough? What, The View? Really? That's not an interview. That's a PR stunt.
She's doing. I think she's doing pretty good.
Oh yeah, because you're a cucked out establishment, useful idiot, you know.
Oh, I think she's doing pretty good for Donald Trump, actually. Thanks for throwing in your 2 cents there, Don Lemon. It's great to see you shooting vertical videos on the streets of New York because your ass got canned from CNN because you're a scumbag. But hey, you know, I guess you got to do what you got to do.
Cool.
There's a clip. I'm trying to find this clip I had set up for you guys. Oh, where is it? It's so important.
Okay.
Kamala. Oh, this is the one. Yes. Kamala admits she's responsible for all the failures of the past 4 years.
Thank you, Gary. Thank you so much. All right. So we got through the rest of that. I think I've covered in one way, shape, or form. So I want to be able to move on here. Thanks again, Gary Franchi. He's going to actually get a chance to meet Trump in a few weeks. So it'll be the second time he's gotten to meet him. He got to take a picture with him one time. He got to. And he has a great story about that. I'm sure we'll run across that story here out in the future. Right now, I want to talk about. Let's see. Let's do some Rig Watch here. All right, Rig Watch is the section of the segment on the show where we look and see how they're trying to rig the election, what they're trying to do. We're trying to keep up to date on all their little antics. And let me see how I want to put this up. I think I'm just going to do that. There's another report we got to go through. All right, so here we go. We're going to bring up Robert Gouveia Esquire. Come on down. And he's got a little Rig Watch report coming up here. Check this out.
This guy right here is responsible for registering people to vote who are not citizens. Now I'm looking into how to apply for citizenship. Gather all the friends who want to register, and I'll register all of you. Do you know if there's a way to register to vote here? Do you want to register? If you'd like, we can get in touch. I can bring you a form to register to vote. Oh, do you have a driver's license in Arizona? Yeah. Okay, you just need that in your residency. What's interesting here is he's saying that if you have a driver's license, we'll register you, right? And in Arizona, we do not give driver's licenses to non-citizens here. The Oversight Project organization organized by the Heritage Foundation has released this new video. In Phoenix, Arizona, there's a store, and this guy right here apparently is responsible for registering people to vote who are not citizens. And the video was obtained by this fellow, muckraker.com, at Real Muckraker on
Yeah, we know
X,
this guy.
saying, join us in the fight to save the American Republic. The CEO is Anthony J. Rubin, and their details are here. But
we know Muckraker, man. We've shown a lot of their stuff, and they do all the border. They're guys who took the walk on the border. In fact, it's in my critical data streams playlist on Rumble. You can find that video, but I do bring the Muckraker stuff up as much as I can. They do great work.
This guy is offering now to register non-citizens. And so let me play a little bit of this, and I'll just read it for us so that we can get through it. If you'd like, we can get in touch. I can bring you a form to register to vote, is what he says. Okay. Are you a state resident? Are you a citizen? I am. I came. I'm here right now thanks to DACA. Then I renew my work permit every 2 years. But right now I'm looking into how to apply for citizenship. Oh, do you have a driver's license in Arizona? So you're not a citizen. Yeah. Do you? You just need that and your residency. Just a license and a residency. Okay, well, we'll get in touch whenever you want. Gather all the friends who want to register and tell me how many they are. And then in a break time during work, we can meet outside, because I don't think they'll let me do all that in here. Outside, we meet in your car or in someone's of yours, and I'll register all of you. I will bring pens, forms, all that. All right, so here's more. Do you know if there's a way to register to vote here? Oh, register to vote? Yes, you don't do that here? No. Okay. What do you mean? I just heard that a friend told me that people were registering here, or that they were providing information about it. He told me that it was here at Price. No, I'm not sure, because I work for an organization that registers people to vote. But I'm not sure if anyone was registering people here. Oh, really? Yeah. Okay. Well, I guess that's usually done at the DMV or somewhere like that. Yeah. Okay. Do you want to register? Well, I wanted to learn more about it. What do you want to know? I'd like to know a little bit more about it. Well, I heard that recently, several places like Washington and New York are implementing policies to assist individuals, yes, applying for citizenship in registering to vote. So I wanted to know if I can get more information about that. If Arizona is doing the same thing. To assist you in obtaining citizenship? That too, and if I could register to vote. But, yes. If you'd like, we can get in touch. I can bring you a form to register to vote. Okay. Are you a state resident? Citizen? Are you? I am. I came. I'm here right now thanks to DACA. Then I renew my work permit every 2 years. But right now I'm looking into how to apply for citizenship. Oh, do you have a driver's license in Arizona? Yeah. Do you? Okay, you just need that in your residency. Okay, yeah. If you'd like, I can give you my number so I can bring you a form. And when you come, if I'm here, I can help you register. Okay. Well, thank you very much. What's your name? Pedro. Pedro something. Thank you. Okay, you're welcome. Let's see. Pedro, putting it into his phone. Aguilar. So that's pretty funny. So I think they bleeped the name out and then they didn't bleep the name out. Or maybe the last name was bleeped out, but that was his middle name. Okay, so let's back up a little bit, because what's interesting here is he's saying that if you have a driver's license, we'll register you, right? And in Arizona, in order to get a driver's license, they should be confirming that you are a citizen, right? We do not give driver's licenses to non-citizens here. So as long as you have an Arizona driver's license, is what he asked about, you should be good. You have a driver's license in Arizona, right? Is what he asked about right there specifically. And so that should theoretically, unless you're in one of those other categories of those people who were not checked, right? We have a bucket now of 210,000 people that had an MVD problem, and we don't know, I guess, who's in that list. But at least that part alone, a driver's license, they should be doing the checking on citizenship. All right, so let's pick this back up. So then he says, okay, Pedro, and he's going to tell us that he works for this organization, right? That's how this whole thing started. And I think that's why they came in and were talking to this guy, because they know that he works at this organization. So then they ask him about this organization, and here's what he says. What's the name of the organization? Well, it's an organization that works alongside University of Arizona. U of A? I'm the president. No, ASU. Oh, ASU. I'm the president of that association. My cousin is a state representative, works for the government. Oh, look. So that's how I got into it. And now I'm representing the group to register everyone that can be registered. So if you know anyone else who would like to register, bring them the day you come. I bring the forms that are needed, so we register everyone to vote. And how you been doing so far? Registering people to vote in the elections? We've had good results. Good results. Okay. But there's always someone missing. I'm curious because I have some friends who are also residents and are also checking into the procedures for obtaining citizenship. So he's talking to this guy. This guy's at the grocery store. So can you scan it? It's disabled, right? Do I need to scan this? No, it's disabled. So he says, all right, look, I'm also now checking about my friends who are residents. They want to also apply for citizenship. I don't need to remove the checker thing. Okay, thank you. Yeah, I'm curious because I have friends who are also residents, and since, well, you help them register, and so now, as I told you, I heard that in states, like New York and Washington, they are helping the community that is applying for citizenship. They're helping them, and they contribute a lot to the local population, and so they're trying to help them locally. Well, we'll get in touch whenever you want. Gather all the friends who want to register, and you tell me how many they are, and then in a break time during work, we can meet outside. Because I don't think they'll let me do all that in here. Oh yeah, sure.
Oh yeah.
Outside, we meet in your car and someone of yours, and I'll register.
Hey, how you doing this evening?
I will bring pens, forms, all that. Okay. To register you, and so you can all vote. Oh, well, okay. Hey, Pedro, thanks a lot, buddy. No problem. Thank you very much. This is me going to help my other job. He says, well, okay, all the best, right? And that's it. So there you go. So again, it's curious, right? And he's not saying specifically outright in here that they're going to register illegals to vote, right? He's not saying that specifically. He never said that. It's kind of implied. He says, I'm curious because I also have some friends who are residents, right? Residents, are they citizens? He didn't ask about federal status. Like, do they have green cards? Do they have social security numbers? Nothing like that, right? They're residents. It seems like it's kind of implied. And then you've got some questions about his cousin, who's a state representative, and he's the president of some organization, and they're just registering people. And then the question is, are they checking back at the state board of elections? So interesting, very interesting exchange there. I don't think there's evidence here that would lead you to arrest this guy or something like that, because he's talking. Maybe he's just registering everyday residents who also happen to be citizens, and they're just going to show up and have a registration party out there. They're residents who also are citizens. They also have Arizona licenses, and they've been checked by Arizona or not, right? These are people that they're just going to have fill out the forms with whatever ID they have, check all the boxes, get them registered. They'll all get ballots, and nobody's going to check on the back end, because the people on the back end are fine with it happening, as we know, and they are fine with it, because in the Pennsylvania lawsuits and in other lawsuits we've covered, they don't even check. They say don't even match the social security numbers on the UOCAVA forms in Pennsylvania and elsewhere. Don't even count the dates. So the people who are actually looking at these forms, they're just waving them in, mailing the ballots out, rubber stamping them. And so this is a curious one. It's from the Oversight Project. They're a Heritage Foundation organization, and this is their report from Muckraker. So knowingly registering a non-citizen DACA recipient, right? But he was kind of in there saying that he was a citizen, but he's kind of through DACA. Right. So like they didn't really get to the bottom of that. He's like, are you a citizen? Yeah, I am. Oh, okay. You have a license? Yeah, I do. Okay. So we can register you to vote? vote? Sure we can. What about all these other people, right? It feels like we all know what's happening, but they're being very sneaky about it. And I would imagine this is happening all over the country in many, many different ways. And we're glad the Oversight Project is digging into it.
A lot of people aren't aware of.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? They're probably paying that guy to do it. They're paying him to do it. They're paying him to register people illegally, right? And they can be like, oh, well, you know, we didn't tell them to do that, right? So Project Oversight, I just went and followed their channel, and I found an interesting little clip over there I want to play. Let's take a listen to this right here. Let me scroll in on it. Actually, I don't need to scroll in it. It's just How tweets on how left-wing infrastructure in our country brings illegal aliens here, registers them to vote, and subverts the will of you, the sovereign American voter. Let's check this out. Hot off the presses. Let's go.
So it's basically like at the first step, you know, they're at a shelter and they want to get, you know, a residency document. And so there's a lot of fraud in how they obtain those. But then once you get the residency document, you can go and get your license. And you start this whole chain of becoming documented, which is so funny because all we call these people, the libs do, is undocumented. But the first thing that happens to you when you're an illegal alien and you get here and undocumented is the libs just shower you with documents. And so they're the most quickly documented people of all time. They're fakely documented, falsely documented, but they're documented nonetheless. And so that starts off the chain of events. And then once you get enough of those things, like you're on your way. And, you know, when you're at the DMV, it's an honor system really to self-select yourself as an illegal alien so that you're not registered to vote, which is an absolutely absurd system that we have in this country. An illegal alien, first off, they're not the most proficient English speakers, readers, and writers at all times. And so you're asking them to look at a government document in any language, even if their native language. These people aren't reading closely the documents. And so even like a law-abiding illegal alien, there's no such thing, like would struggle with this thing. Second, if you're an illegal alien and you have any sense to you, you already don't care about the law since you jumped the border. You're not going to click the button to the government that says, I'm not a U.S. citizen. Even I wouldn't do that. That's just stupid. Why would you tell the government that I'm here illegally? And so, of course, what you end up with is a lot of illegal aliens getting on the voter rolls. And then, you know, DHS owns the database of basically, to their knowledge, of who's an illegal, who's not, and they're not willing to share it openly. And you have a system where it's impossible to check. And then you have a Biden administration and a legal framework that doesn't allow the states much action in the immigration space. And
All right. Good stuff right there. I'm doing that line in the trend. Oh, hold on a second. Where is it? I'm doing this. But I mean, this documentary literally just dropped today on a paid site. So I'm giving it time to breathe out of respect for the creators and the people who risk their lives to make it. I'm not rushing it to market. I'm gonna wait on that because they put a lot of time, effort, and money into it. So I'm gonna wait. I usually try to wait on stuff like that just because I'm a paid subscriber. I get it and all. But, you know, I want to show respect to O'Keefe and Tucker for that work. It's just, the amount of risk and time and effort and money that went into that. It's just, you know, do what you got to do, man. I'm going to be showing it as well. But I'm going to let it breathe for a second. I call it just letting it breathe, and get a chance to get out there. Last thing I want is pushback from Tucker Carlson on anything, or James O'Keefe, you know. And I can just only imagine doing a documentary like that and then having it, you know, out behind a paywall for a good reason because it's a highly expensive project, and then having it out there for free like the next day. Like I literally had it, like I have it queued up to, you know, I watched a little bit of it as soon as it dropped. And you know, I'm excited about it too. I'm just as excited as you are about it. Believe me, I've been talking about it for weeks. So I get it. All right, where are we at here? Yeah, so that's I went ahead and followed Project Oversight, so I'll keep an eye on that page for more awesome content like that. Little clips and whatnot. Let's see. Well, I'll read this instead of go through it, but basically, in Wyoming, due to wildfires, they're making last minute changes to absentee ballots. So I'm always worried about these mail-in and absentee ballot things because people want to stop and stop counting on the night of the election and say, well, we have to keep counting the next day. And then suddenly the numbers are flipped. Like that documentary. Here's one you could show if you haven't shown it already, Angry. Hey, Kim's Creations. How you doing? Good evening. Good to see you. Is Let My People Go. I don't know if you've seen that one, but it's pinned to the top of my profile on Rumble. That would be a great one to show right now. I've actually been thinking about re-showing that. So if you are going to show that at some point, maybe if I'm not streaming, I'll pop in and watch it with you. But I really want people to see that one. I've really tried to keep putting it out there because it's all about election night. It's all about what's going to happen on election night. We need to be vigilant about this. More and more, if you can do it, if you have time, honestly, I would recommend becoming a poll watcher. Get trained by the Trump organization. They're training people right now to do it. The more poll watchers we have, the less likely there is to be shenanigans. And that's a way to, each one of us can do something. I'm considering it right now. I have to look into what it entails, but honestly, I don't think it would be a great deal of effort on my part. The polling station isn't too far from where I live, and I wouldn't mind going and keeping an eye on some of those guys down there anyways. So I've really been thinking about it. The closer we get to the election, I may actually go down there and physically become a poll watcher. Just, with the vast amount of knowledge that I have about what they're going to try to do and the things to look out for, I feel like I could maybe be of good assistance to that. So I generally put my money where my mouth is. I wouldn't be surprised if I come here in a matter of days or weeks or whatnot and announce that I'm going to be a poll watcher. I just need to do more. This election is so important, and I don't want the bad guys to win. I mean, at all costs, I don't want the bad guys to win. You have done that one? Okay, good. Cool. Good. I'm glad it's getting shown. It needs to be shown. More people need to see that. And understand how how on election night they're going to try to pull some shenanigans. The more people that know about it, the less likely they are to try stuff like that. That's the way it kind of works. Awareness has this energy of its own. And then with awareness, we show the research, right? And the research bakes it in and helps people make a decision. I would say on the tail end of that, if you're going to re-show it or anything like that, have the poll watcher information with that. Like, this is how you could help maybe stop this. Now, and Fulton County, man, yeah, I hope that we need a mob of poll watchers in Fulton County because they're going to have a gang of agents there on the scene to pull shenanigans, right? And so the more eyes we can get on that, the less incentives they have, the more risk they take. The more like they feel like they're going to get in trouble for it, like what they didn't get in trouble for when they did it in 2020. We need to make sure that they realize they're taking a criminal risk when they do things like this. So yeah, that's what I think that really needs to be shown. Okay, so we have this. We're gonna go to Gary for a quick report. And this was just put out 16 hours ago, and this is more about Rig Watch. Caught on tape, line up Trump. Hold on, that's not it. What? That was just okay. Well, there's a guy that was out there that said some nasty stuff. It was a professor that said, there's a lot of males out there that won't vote for a female president, and they all need to be lined up and shot. That's what he said. So he's probably gonna lose his job over it. I don't think it's worth showing to you guys, but it's on the Next News Network if you want to look at it there. Move along here. See that one. We did that. This is the one I wanted to show. Screwing it up right now. Okay, it's just out of order. All right, so yeah, it is. We're all going back to Gary for this one. Let's take a look at this together here, and boom. General ID should be free for citizen. I don't think you should have to pay for birth certificates, passports, and general IDs. Driver's license, sure, but not general IDs. Yep. All right, here we go.
Okay, this just in.
Winning speed.
Natalie Winters posting this local report. Non-citizens now receiving flyers with instructions on how to register to vote for Harris Walls. Look at this.
How many reports is that back to back when it's illegals voting? Remember the beginning of the season, I said that their entire strategy is going to be to try to get illegals to vote. I mean, and it's here it is. It's all coming out here in the 11th hour. I mean, we've been talking about it forever, warning about it forever. And I just hope that our side is on top of this in every way, shape, and form.
An investigation by Fox 2 finds non-U.S. citizen migrant workers are being encouraged to vote in November's presidential election. Fox Files investigator Chris Hayes found this out after an employer of migrant workers alerted him.
These union mailers were just sent to non-U.S. citizen migrant workers. They say, quote, stop the steal by stopping Trump's allies. Vote for Harris Walls and pro-worker candidates.
What?
Here's 11 of the mailers addressed to non-U.S. citizens mailed to their workplace, which alerted Fox 2. The business, which specializes in landscaping, does not want to be identified. The company's manager told us their migrant worker employees who are from Mexico are all background checked and have legal H-2B visas, which allow their temporary stay here. The manager explained the migrant workers are also allowed to have union representation and that they pay dues to their union, called LiUNA. But the manager cannot understand why the union would send mailers to non-U.S. citizens, encouraging their vote in the presidential election. We've tried.
So not just illegals, but, I guess legal workers, right? But not citizens. So non-citizens, we'll refine our rhetoric here and say their strategy is to get non-citizens to vote. Yeah.
Repeatedly to get an explanation from Washington, D.C. based union LiUNA. 3 emails to their communications department and 3 phone calls. A 4th call also went to voicemail. We checked with.
So that's just the tip of the iceberg, my friends. And of course, the Democrats are absolutely consumed. They're still consumed with anyone who questions the 2020 election. I still don't understand why they continually pound this into people's heads. I can only guess is because they're planning to steal the 2024 election. And they want to continue this election.
That's usually how they do
narrative, keep it front and center, as we just saw with Kristen Welker speaking to Tom Cotton on Meet the Press.
About Hunter Biden's lap.
Different. I want to talk about one of the big moments this week from the vice presidential debate. We just played it in the open when Senator J.D. Vance refused to say that Donald Trump lost the 2020 election. I want to put this question to you, Senator, just to put this to rest. Can you say definitively here and now that Donald Trump did lose the 2020 election?
Kristen, Joe Biden was elected president in 2020. It was an unfair election in many ways. I mean, you had states that were changing their election practices or election laws, sometimes in violation of their constitution. You had networks combining with big tech to suppress what.
Did I show this one on Tuesday, guys? Did I show this on Tuesday? I'm trying to make sure I didn't notice. It's been 2 days. I may have showed this on Tuesday. If anybody remember seeing this already, let me know in the chat. I'm trying to. Sometimes the days where I did. Okay, thanks, Wolfram. All right, cool. I did show this already, so good. Thank you. Sometimes I have so much in these playlists. You can see my playlist. This is Rig Watch, right? I got so much in here, and I just had to segment these out from a big master playlist, and so I got so much stuff in here that I get confused sometimes. The back-to-back shows, back-to-back. Ever stream, it never stops. You know how the saying goes. Thank you so much. I'm so glad you guys are paying attention. Thank you. All right. Well, I know I didn't play this one. Let's now jump over to and thank you for watching and participating in Rig Watch. Like I said, I'm really considering becoming a poll watcher. And I'm not talking about down at the local club, if you know what I'm talking about. Not that kind of poll. Not the kind people swing from. Anyways, just checking to make sure Shelly's still awake. There she is. Okay. All right. Let me get this out of here. And okay. All right. So on to the new J6 debunking investigation that's been going on. It's really interesting stuff. You know how they like to talk about J6 all the time and in conjunction with Trump and this election, how they want to steer people away from it. It's important that we get the truth out there about that. So let's take a look at this. This is the same guy that's doing the reports, the investigation on Tim Pool in a quick segment about what he's finding out here.
You said something a moment ago about law enforcement. The MAGA are supposed to be, supporters of law enforcement, and we have, through the Blaze, we have shown that
Castro.
We have some federal.
Oh, hey, Jacob, I wanted to say real quick before I go. I meant to say this to you. You have an open invitation, man, to come on it. Anytime you want to. I put it out there to you. I know you're trying to get your channel going and whatnot, but put it a long time ago. But if you ever want to do something, just let me know.
Officers who have perjured themselves in these January 6 trials.
Capitol Police.
Yeah, Capitol Police officers, including, the guy that was on January 6th, the head of Nancy Pelosi's dignitary protection detail. And so this is irrefutable. I mean, we have them dead to rights. I mean, we have the video evidence. We have everything. Well, just yesterday when we released another one of our videos in this series about the Capitol Police, it's called A Day in the Life of Harry Dunn, Part 1. And when we released that yesterday, one of the first things that you start seeing up in our Twitter threads is that, I thought MAGA was supposed to love cops. You guys hate cops. and I'm like, you realize that it's the good guys at the Capitol Police who are working with us on this. And, and I can assure you right now, there's 2,000 uniformed Capitol Police that are cheering this video because those guys who perjured themselves in trials made them look bad.
Yeah. Well, not to mention, when people were entering the Capitol on January 6th, police officers were taking selfies with them and shaking their hands. Yeah. There's one guy, you probably know his name. He's on camera speaking with the officers, asking them what they can do to assist the officers with getting people out, and then try getting people to leave. And I think they put him in prison, didn't they?
If I don't know that particular incident, but there are many incidents where that took place. And in fact, and let's go ahead and just dispel one rumor. And I know I get in trouble every time I do this. No Capitol Police officer actually opened the outside doors for protesters. That did not happen. I've been in the CCTV viewing room more than any other journalist on the planet. I have seen and I've watched the actual breaching of every door. It was protesters that breached every single door. There were 7 of them that they breached. Having said that, after they were breached and the numbers were overwhelming, some of the Capitol Police did hold the doors open.
And there was the officer who said, I don't agree with it, but I respect it.
That's correct. Or they said, I don't agree with what's going on right now, but you guys, don't tear the place up. There were these kinds of conversations, and the conversation like the one that you just mentioned there of what can we do for you. There was
there is an interior door that's on camera being held open by an officer, and then protesters come in. I think in front of the officer or something like that.
Yep.
And thank you, Angry. Thank you.
I mean, look, they opened the door for Chansley into the Senate.
They guided him to the Senate and said, let us help you get there. And he walks by.
That was the funniest video.
Yeah.
He's got like 3 cops around him. They walk past like 7 cops, and they go to the door and they open it. And they say, here you are, sir. And he's like, thank you.
I got carrying a spear.
My favorite was when the police officer comes in. He's like, hey guys, just so this is the sacredest place.
Yeah.
Like, can we file out of here? And they're like, okay, brother, no problem. It was all very civil.
The guy with a rubber bullet stuck in his cheek.
Yeah.
And the cop, you need to think of non.
So you can't pray in the Senate chamber, but you can definitely film yourself.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Oh,
right.
yeah.
That was an insurrection, right there.
Yeah, no kidding.
So for those that don't know, there was he got fired for this, but who was he working for? The staffer?
AP Sears' brother?
Working for a Democrat in the Senate, I think, and he filmed himself. And the rumor is, we've seen one video go viral where these 2 male staffers are basically insulting baby Jesus in this, and defiling the seat of our government. And the rumor is he's done it more than once. That they had been doing this frequently, and only one of them got posted. So
I'll bet it happens all the time.
Doesn't
God knows.
No, it's
what happens in the Capitol building. Oh.
I can't even begin to.
Madison Cawthorn tried warning us.
The story.
Yep.
Yeah. Right.
This. Remember this.
That we're aware.
Crack orgies.
Yeah. And but that's
You think they're more or
in
less
line with
wild
what
than
they
a Diddy party?
More wild.
More wild, you think?
Yeah, I mean, when I heard that he had 1,000 bottles of baby oil, I was like, he's got nothing in Congress.
That's like a Tuesday.
Well, and that's the rumored, and I guess we can throw rumors out here on this show maybe, but
I'm pregnant, yes.
Kamala Harris was not where she was supposed to be on January 6th either. We all know about that, right? Mm-hmm. She was actually at the DNC. She was scheduled 2 days in advance. This is in the Secret Service logging, their book records, is that it was a known fact that she was going to be at the DNC headquarters from 11:30 to 3:30. Now, the debate and the vote at the Capitol on her, coronation as vice president is taking place. She's a sitting voting senator. She is the VP elect, and she has chosen not to be where the vote is taking place. Now, why is that?
I heard a crazy story just when I was at Rescue the Republic. I spoke with a Capitol Police officer. I'm not sure if he was a former, but there's another officer who, and you probably know this. You probably know the story. He took it upon himself to evacuate members of Congress, and then he got in trouble because they did not want him to do that.
I was on the phone with him last night.
Wow.
So can you break down the story for us?
Yeah, that's Lieutenant Tark Johnson.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the guy we saw in the last installment that he did. That had the MAGA hat on. This is a very interesting story. Check this out.
He was calling in he actually, start from the beginning here. His job that day, he was in charge of interior security of the entire Capitol building. That was his job as the lieutenant inside. You can hear his voice on the radio comms, Capitol Police radio comms, calling in for assistance early on in the battle. He's trying to set up decontamination tents for the officers that are getting hit with bear spray. He's calling for, water to be brought in to assist the officers in that regard. He then calls in the what they call the M4 units, the guys that are actually carrying the long rifles, the automatic weapons, because he says we don't want the he actually says these words. He says, we're not going to use deadly force. We need the M4 units to come in because we can't risk them being taken by protesters. They're, the automatic rifles. So you see all the M4 units start coming in right about 1 o'clock, or right about 2 o'clock. And so once it was absolutely apparent that they were going to be breached, he started calling in to headquarters, to the command center, to the officers, or the chiefs, the assistant chiefs in control up there. We need help. What do we do? I need directions. I need to know. And there's silence, total silence coming from the command center. No direction, no orders whatsoever. So he literally says on the radio, he says, I'll take the 550 and the 534. Those are like two documents, disciplinary documents. He said, I'll take both disciplinary actions, but I am evacuating the Senate now. We have you can hear him. We have a clear path out. Boom. And he does it. He takes it upon himself. He evacuates the Senate. 8 minutes later, he runs down once he's verified, and you can hear it all on the radio. Once it's verified that everybody's out of the Senate and he's safe, he runs to the House and starts the evacuation of the House. So he has embarrassed command now because he's taken the lead and probably done something they didn't anticipate, something that was not supposed to happen.
The implication, I suppose, is they wanted members of Congress in those buildings to be confronted by, at the very least, the rioters on that day.
That's exactly what they wanted.
The photos of members of the Senate being shoved or yelled at, whatever it may have turned into.
Yeah.
And so I wonder, someone asked me, because we were talking at the Republic event backstage, well, why would they discipline him? Like, why wouldn't they just tell him no? And because they don't want to be on the record and recording saying stand down.
Okay, I have his entire OPR. That's the disciplinary report. And I acquired that actually before I ever met him. And I've known him for almost 2 years now. Well, almost exactly 2 years now. And again, his name is former Lieutenant Tark Johnson. And the one thing that he did that he became famous for was there was 16 officers calling in a distress call over the radio. It's all there. I have the radio comms. And when they called in the distress call, he got on there and said, okay, we need, because they knew that FBI and ATF SWAT teams were in the building. And he calls for FBI, ATF to come over there and help get those guys out. No response. Well, he even tells them exactly where he is outside waiting for them, for the SWAT teams to come. They don't respond. You can hear him on the radio say, basically, fuck it, I'll do it. He's the guy that took the MAGA hat.
Wow.
Actually, a protester put the MAGA hat on. He didn't ask for one. Protester put the MAGA hat on him. He saw it and realized, this is my pass through the crowd. This is the Passover, symbol for me to get through the crowd. So he is looking for, now again, it's on the radio comms, he's looking for a bullhorn. I need a bullhorn. Somebody give me a bullhorn. He's calling on the radio. Somebody, I need a cop to deliver me a bullhorn to such and such place. He couldn't get it. He says it again, fuck it, I'll get one. And he goes and finds one himself from a protester. So then as he's trying to get help, two guys standing next to him say, what do you need? Officer, what do you need? I'm former law enforcement myself. And shows him his badge. He's retired, so they carry those cards and everything. And he says, yeah, I've got 16 distressed officers in. I need to go get them out. And they go, oh, we're Oath Keepers. We'll help you. So one of them, 20 years law enforcement, former military as well, gets in front. He takes the bullhorn. He puts Tark Johnson, Lieutenant Johnson in the middle. The other Oath Keeper gets behind him. They go up the stairs through the crowd, announcing to the crowd, clear the way, clear the way. We're Oath Keepers. We're here to rescue somebody. The crowd goes, oh, Oath Keepers, they're good guys. They're known as the good guys. They do disaster relief projects. They do security all over the country at riots, all over the country. They protect minority businesses in Louisville, in Minneapolis, in Ferguson.
Yeah, and let me just give you some more background on the Oath Keepers. This group actually formed and came about during the Ron Paul Revolution. These guys were the original group that was there to make sure that these establishment types that were coming there and these Marxist right groups like Patriot Front and the agitators and all these people who are trying to paint Ron Paul, smear Ron Paul by showing up to Tea Party rallies and doing bad things, right? The Oath Keepers were there to keep us safe. And so that's where the Oath Keepers originally came from. It's just a group of sheriffs, retired sheriffs, that believe in their oath to the Constitution. And that's exactly who they are. And where they've gone from there and what they've become is you know, I still think of them as that group of sheriffs that just want to uphold their oath to the Constitution. There was nothing nefarious about anything, but that's where the Oath Keepers came about. That's where they were originally formed, was under the Ron Paul Revolution, and as a way to help protect patriots that were there at the rallies from the nefarious groups. And it wasn't nearly as bad as it's turned into with MAGA and the groups coming after MAGA, right? They weren't nearly as active because they still had control of the GOP at that point. The neocons were still in control, so they didn't feel like it was as big of a threat, even though it was waking a lot of people up.
This is what the Oath Keepers do. They don't attack cops. And so they go up the stairs, they lead the 16 officers out. One lady hugs every one of them as they come out. Their people are high-fiving the officers as they bring them down the steps, led by a Capitol Police officer with a MAGA hat on. So he gets suspended 3 days later, loses his job. He is placed on mandatory. Now, you can't believe that they can do this. They put him on home detention. What? For 17 months. He could not leave his house during workout. So his job, because if you're a job or your shift is, a 7 to 3 or 7 to 4 shift, he was in home confinement during his job hours for 17 months.
He quit?
They were fighting. I mean, obviously they were fighting the process. And what ended up happening is when they did the disciplinary review on him, all of the disciplinary action is from 3 o'clock till he rescues. So they actually disciplined him for rescuing those officers. They claimed that he endangered them, but everything that he did heroically from 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock, not a word of it is in the disciplinary report, because that's where he embarrassed them, and that's where he countered their plan.
I think it's fairly obvious that Trump called for National Guard. They deny it.
And that's how that ends abruptly. And it's true. But great interview there. That guy's awesome. I'm looking forward to the next installment of A Day in the Life of Harry Dunn. We've seen part 1. We've looked at some of the background on this already. So we got, as you can see, hold on, let me just show you. We got 4 in the playlist now going here, right? And this is all, and Angry, this is all coming off of Blaze TV if you want to check that out. So there you go. All right. So a couple more things, then we're going to get out of here. I just wanted to kind of update us on the polls here. Red Eagle Politics is a great channel for poll watching and understanding how the votes are going to go, how voting works, how the polls are going. I mean, this dude does a lot of good work. I've been following him for a long time now. He does great work. Let me just get back to where I was here. Click on that. Okay, here we go. Red Eagle Politics coming at you. And so, yeah, now I got another I got a playlist for this, and I'm starting to build up here. I need to go back to my master playlist and add all the other stuff that I've had in the past year. But this is great stuff. A great note to end on here. And let me get this at winning speed. There we go. And let's win.
Make sure you guys like this video down below and subscribe to the channel if you are new. So the 2024 election is 27 days away. We are knocking on the door. Early voting has begun across many states, and it's going to be starting in many states as well very soon. And we understand that this election likely is going to come down to these 7 states right here. And we also know that Kamala Harris does not exactly have the momentum. She's kind of falling behind in the betting markets, which again are relatively volatile. People buy shares, they sell shares, but it kind of does showcase momentum over time. But the polling as well. And the polling that we've seen lately shows that Donald Trump, he is currently in a good position in the battlegrounds. And you could go back to, even before the debate, or you could go back to after the DNC, Kamala Harris led on average in the battleground states by 0.5%, which obviously was not very much. And that was like her honeymoon. Now Donald Trump leads by 0.3%. I mean, these are very close races, but keep in mind, the polls typically underestimate Donald Trump. If you compare him on October 9th, 2024, which is today, to October 9, 2020 or 2016, he's in a phenomenal position. And he has taken the lead in every single swing state except for two. And those two are Wisconsin, which again, polls have underestimated him in Wisconsin by an average of how many points? Over 6%, both election cycles. And he's down in Nevada by 1.1%, which again, that state has never voted for Donald Trump, but still there are reasons to believe that polls may be underestimating him this time around, especially because those, low propensity voters who the polls typically have missed in the past, they used to be more Democrat, now they're more Republican. It's also why Donald Trump outran the polls in Nevada, depending on the aggregate you look at back in 2020. But you see what's going on across these swing states, and we have polls out of
This guy keeps it real based. He'll give you some hope. He'll give you some hope.
One of the most liberal pollsters in the entire country. And they were very inaccurate because they underestimated Trump, and they really don't know how to pull the Rust Belt. But we have new polling from Quinnipiac out of the Rust Belt states, and it's not looking good for Kamala Harris. And we're going to get to that. But first, really quickly, I got to tell you guys about my merch store, shop.redeaglepolitics.com. It's time for the election. You want to support the channel and get something in return, I recommend you buy the merchandise that we have, or at least check it out on the site. You can buy one, get one, 20% off. Donald Trump is in a good position in North Carolina, in Georgia, and Arizona. He's been leading those three states for quite some time. And those are states that were either in Donald Trump's column in 2020 or decided by 0.3 percentage points. And when you look at the polling, he leads in Georgia and Arizona by 1.5 points, give or take. And in North Carolina, he leads by 0.6%. Although polls in North Carolina, they have underestimated Trump. That's kind of the thing. You look at this day in history, October 9, 2020, Biden led by 2, Hillary Clinton led by 3. She lost by like 3.5. So we'll see what happens. It's possible, people are talking about the hurricane and how it's going to affect turnout. We don't really know quite yet. It might cause lower turnout, but those turning out very well could be those people that are angry about the hurricane response, and Donald Trump could gain on net because of it. There's a lot of moving parts to that. But the bottom line is that those 3 states, Donald Trump seems to be relatively confident in. They're shoring up in his column, it seems, which means that the Rust Belt's crucial because you can't win if you just get Nevada. Now, you could thank Nebraska state legislature for being spineless because 269 would be enough to get him the victory. And Nevada is an easy state to flip if you focus on it, just because the amount of raw votes you have to, flip to win the state. It's not very many of them, but we'll leave it in the toss-up column for right now. We haven't seen a lot of polling out in Nevada anyways recently. There was a poll that had him up by 1, then there was a poll that had him down by 1 that was released. But again, it's been like 10 days since we've had any data come out of the state. But Quinnipiac dropped some polls, which again, this is huge. Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania. He's up by 4 percentage points in Michigan. That is absolutely huge, given the fact that Michigan was one of the states in 2020 that was the most liberal out of those 7 swing states. Wisconsin, the polls usually underestimate him there. And the fact that he currently leads at all is a horrific sign for Kamala Harris, and he's at 49%. Now, Kamala Harris in Pennsylvania, she has the luxury of getting the upper hand in that poll. But guys, keep in mind, the last poll they put out of Pennsylvania, she led by 6. And we could look at this here. You want to compare the polling to the last Quinnipiac poll that we saw out of Pennsylvania. She led by 5 in the head-to-head. She led by 6 in the multi-candidate race. So already a 3-point swing into Donald Trump's column. She was at 51. Now she's at 49. And once again, they really don't know how to pull the Rust Belt, because if you look at 2020 and you look at Quinnipiac then, they were off big time. Their final poll had Biden up by 7. That was off by 6 points. Their second to last poll had Biden up by 8 points. And then the previous poll, which would be the same poll at the same point in time, had Biden up by 13 points, had him up 54 to 41. Now Kamala Harris leads just 49 to 47. That is absolutely insane. When you look at the massive shift, it's a liberal pollster, and Trump is still within the margin of error. And then you look at Wisconsin. You could look at Quinnipiac's previous poll in Wisconsin. Harris led by 1. That was like a good poll because there was a Quinnipiac poll back in, I think, June that had Biden pre-debate up on Trump by like 6. So then Harris leads by just 1, and then Trump leads by 2. He's got the momentum in Quinnipiac. The liberal pollster is showing a more pro-Trump result than Trafalgar, of all polls, is currently showing, which they've been a little cautious this cycle for sure. And then Michigan.
So if that's what their little game is, right? You know what it's always going to be, like 5 or 6 or 7, right? You just subtract those, and that's closer to the truth.
Quinnipiac even they did release a poll back in September where Harris led by 5 percentage points.
Of course, you also know that they're doing bias sampling too.
How Donald Trump leads by 4. That's a little lofty, but can Donald Trump win Michigan? Well, it's not the only poll to show that. He leads the Mitchell Research poll. He leads Trafalgar's poll. He leads Atlas Intel, which is one of the most accurate pollsters in 2020. And the New York Times, which has also really struggled to pull the Rust Belt, has her up by just 1 percentage point. So
yeah, the most accurate poll has them up 4. the one that's known to be the most accurate.
When you look at all of this, it's like, okay, the Democrats have to rely on polls from like Morning Compost, which are trash, that show Harris still within the margin of error, and then Cook Political Report, emphasis on Cook in terms of their polls. 416 likely voters is kind of a pretty low sample size, all things considered. That doesn't really seem like they put a lot of time and effort. They have a more liberal audience as well that subscribes to their, polling. Is it possible that their polls are going to be released when they're more favorable to Harris? It's possible, but regardless, throw it in the average anyways. Let's be real here. I don't know if Trump's going to carry Michigan by 4, but you see the shifts from 2020. I don't even know if Quinnipiac put out a poll in Michigan in 2020. But the one thing that it shows is that even these liberal pollsters, they're showing that Kamala Harris is in dire straits. And the more time that she spends in front of the media, she wouldn't do media for a while. She was riding the honeymoon high, and now she's forced to do media because it's, she knows it's not enough. And that's why she wants another debate with Trump, because she really didn't win the first one. And we know that. But when you talk about her appearances in front of the media, they're just not very good. They show that she's not fit to be president. And people are mad that Donald Trump said that she's like, kind of a little dim-witted. And they say, how can he say that? It's like, okay, you people call him a felon. You call him all sorts of names for 9 years, and he's not allowed to make a objectively correct observation. Like, I don't know what's up with these people, man. But one thing I will say is you look in the crosstabs of these polls, because one thing I did notice is Pennsylvania is not going to be 6 points to the left of Michigan. There's virtually no way that's the case. In fact, I think Pennsylvania, when it's all said and done, could be to the right of Michigan. It probably could be in line with the state of Wisconsin. But I did notice something about the Pennsylvania poll, which I found interesting, is that usually the polls have underestimated Trump's margins with white college-educated voters. But this poll shows Donald Trump up 64-34, which is kind of my expectation. If you want to look at Pennsylvania in 2020, Trump won these voters 60-39. And Joe Biden did have a lot of, appeal compared to somebody like a Hillary Clinton or Kamala Harris, at least back then with those voters, because they were familiar with them. You had a lot of, suburban voters that are, white working class. COVID was a bigger issue then, and it wasn't a winning issue for Trump, and it's kind of off the table. The economy's back. It's front and center. Those voters are struggling the most with inflation. They're the most opposed to this mass immigration that we're seeing here. It's very possible Trump could gain a sizable chunk of the vote, which would only be 5% of the white non-college vote. And when you look at like these Teamsters polls where the members actually answer the polls, which they're more likely to answer the polls of the Teamsters, their own union, than polls from like these university polling firms or whatever, they show a vast shift into Donald Trump's column. And he definitely has a special place in a lot of those voters' hearts. And John Fetterman, the Democrat senator of Pennsylvania, was the one that said that, not me, because of the Butler incident. So it's very likely that he does gain substantially with that demographic. I don't know, 64, even if he gets to like 63, that would be absolutely huge. But Kamala Harris, San Francisco Kamala, or Scranton Joe, use your common sense. That's true. But the white college vote is interesting because Donald Trump won about 45% of that demographic in Pennsylvania in 2020, which was not a good year for him. And this poll basically shows that 23% of two-time Trump voters that are white and with a college degree would be backing Kamala Harris. I don't believe that's true. Maybe you could make a case for about like 8 or 9% of that demographic. You could make that case, but not 22, 23%. Absolutely not. I just can't see that happening. And, in terms of the crosstab diving, I don't like crosstab diving. But when you have a disparity in the polling dump that we see, looking into the crosstabs is the first thing you probably want to do. But, second of all, it's important to understand that when one crosstab is off, but the others make sense, then it could be that you did something wrong as a pollster. And when you see Kamala Harris winning seniors by 12, maybe you're overrepresenting some of these liberal, seniors with a college degree. And that's why you're kind of arriving at that conclusion, especially because a lot of these people are difficult to reach by polling to a certain degree. So when you look at that, it's like, yeah, maybe the polls are missing something, because when you put all the data in the swingometer, that's kind of like the one area where it's like, okay, yeah, Donald Trump is doing better than that. He may not be doing as well as 2020, but he doesn't need to win. But you look at Michigan, it's more, in line with what you would expect, all things considered. You look at the white college vote, it only went down by 7. So maybe there's a little, give and take with that. And you could even make the opposite case that this poll in Michigan, at least, is overestimating Trump with minority voters, which could be true. It possibly could be. And I don't know if he's up by 4 in Michigan. It's going to be a very close state, but can he win it? Absolutely. And then Wisconsin's numbers tend to look probably, in terms of by demography, relatively what you would expect. I think he might do a little bit better than that with white working class voters in Wisconsin. The white college vote is probably about where you would expect. And I think that in terms of the minority vote, they kind of are overestimating him a little bit, but it kind of does cancel out, all things considered, and he will make gains. So the bottom line is that this is a good polling dump for Trump. And when you look at the polls in Michigan, he's winning Michigan right now. He was down by an average of 7 points the last 2 cycles in Michigan. You look at Wisconsin, it's neck and neck. And we know the polls in Wisconsin miss those voters. And when you look at the state of Pennsylvania, Hillary Clinton led by 9.4% this day in history. Donald Trump leads by 0.2%. That is a big turnaround for Donald Trump. He's at 49% in Arizona. In Georgia, he's above 49%. And he's coming close to that in some of these other states, which is absolutely huge because, you know, that's kind of the magic number. If he gets 49 point something, he's going to win these states because there will be a third party vote,
right?
especially in Michigan with the, you know, anti-Harris vote from the Palestine crowd that could, you know, cause a dent in her margin there as well. And might be enough to possibly give the state to Donald Trump in and of itself, but there's a lot of moving parts to it. So we'll see what happens. But like I said, the Rust Belt is huge because Donald Trump likely just needs one state. It could be Wisconsin. It could be Michigan. I think Michigan's probably the most liberal of those three, not saying he can't win it, or Pennsylvania, where Trump's campaign seems confident. Trump's doing 2 rallies there today. And the Harris campaign behind closed doors, not all that confident in Pennsylvania. And the mail-in request data is not looking good for Democrats. I'm not saying that they can't win the state, but guys, Donald Trump is favored. He's favored in pretty much every swing state. We just need to go out there and make sure we get as many ballots in the ballot box by election day, regardless of what you expect to happen. Vote like your life depends on it, please.
Yes.
So anyways, guys, thanks for watching this video. Like this video down below, comment down below, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications so you never miss another video. Follow me on social media. The links are all in the description down below. And I will see you guys in the next one. Red Eagle out.
Nice job,
Donald
Red
Trump
Eagle.
is certain.
He does good. He does good. He does a good job. He's a highly motivated, hardworking kid. He does a great work. He does great work. But you know, and I'm gonna put this up. I'm not gonna play this video, but I'm gonna put it up here just to talk about it. You know, Donald Trump has sold out Madison Square Garden, or is close to it, for a rally in late October already. Like he's literally going to try to go and take New York. And I'm just going to use this chart as an example. And I've heard good things about New Jersey. I don't know what's going on in Virginia. I thought we were making some progress in Virginia. I don't know what that's looking like, but come on, Virginia. What I'm kind of like concerned about now is what North Carolina is going to look like. I hope that people that are in the area will help the people that are displaced, you know, get to vote. There was a story that I had somewhere about basically they were trying to help, the Trump campaign was trying to help out with that. But I think it was like this: hurricane chaos leads to voting rule changes. And but I think that everybody's kind of like behind those changes because of the situation there. Like I know the Trump Vance campaign was like, and hold on, I'm just gonna put this up on the screen here so you can see what I'm talking about. I'm not gonna go in detail with this, but I just want to kind of like, let's see right there. Okay. Whoops. What are you doing? Where are you going? All right. These are some of the emergency voting changes. Easier access to absentee ballots, more time to apply for ballots, drop off anywhere in the state, and assistance teams to help collect
absentee ballots. By the way, more storms coming possibly. Voters in those counties will have longer to apply for absentee ballots. They'll be allowed to drop their ballots off anywhere in the state, not just in their home county. There'll also be teams that'll be sent to storm relief centers to help register more voters and, you guessed it, collect more ballots. What's more, the county boards will also be able to, by a bipartisan majority, hire poll workers from other counties and then move them all around the state to ensure there are enough experienced workers at each voting site. Now, the problem is, say critics, Jesse, we don't know where they're going to draw these poll workers from. And with ballots being able to be dropped off anywhere in the state, how can anyone accurately contest voter turnout discrepancies, say in different counties? And keep this in mind, North Carolina was one of the last states to report back in 2020. It took them 10 days to certify the general election, despite being a relatively small state. Now, I can also add this very quickly. President Trump's team, the Trump Vance campaign, issued a statement tonight asking for more access for North Carolinians. They say it is super important that the people who've already suffered from the storm don't lose their right to take part in this important election. And big amen for that, Jesse.
I don't know if I love or hate these late changes in the election law, but I know Mark Elias, the Democrat election lawyer who specializes in shenanigans, loves it. So that makes
yeah. So I timed that just right, didn't I? But yeah, so North Carolina has me a little bit worried. We need North Carolina. We need everything, damn it. And I'm hoping for some big surprises. Like I'm really hoping for some big surprises. And you know, I don't know if that'll come out of New York or New Jersey or whatever. Let's see. Shelley says Jersey is dim in Hudson and Camden counties, poorest and most densely populated counties. Yep. Lex, what's up? How you doing, man? It's just anecdotal, but I have two very liberal friends from a deep blue state who retired to Virginia, and I noticed on Facebook that they were all in for Trump. I was pleasantly surprised. I haven't seen. I should go back and check and see what the old gang is up to. I haven't seen a great significant change, and the ones that are still out of their mind and completely TDS are still out of their mind and completely TDS from what I can tell. But I haven't gone way back to my Virginia crew, so I don't know. I'm glad you're doing good, Lex. I'm glad. Yeah, it's a busy time of year for sure. I mean, before we know it, it's gonna be Christmas again. God bless. Where's this year gone? I remember last January though. I was saying I hope this. I don't like to wish years by quickly, but I hope this one goes by quickly. Because I just want to get out of this corrupt establishment being in power, and I want to get back on the winning track. You know what I'm saying? I want to get back on the winning track. I want us to be back in charge, putting them out of business, and preventing the big monster at the gate from getting fully in to our country, because this is just step one in the battle now. That is securing power and the government, taking power out of the hands of the corrupt establishment, cleaning it out, right? And we have to do that so we can take step two, and that is preventing the globalist takeover Agenda 2030 from being implemented. We have to push back on that, undo it, and then we have to start the step three, right? Step three would be, as part of step two and into step three, maybe both at the same time, one a little bit ahead of the other, is that we start putting in the future prevention steps, right? Future generational fix has to go in. And that's what probably the next 4 years is going to be about, as we let Trump and his team do what they do, right? We support them in every way, but solution culture needs to rise up, right? It's time for us to start taking steps. Once we know that we have the footing, we start taking those steps to make generational changes. And that's what we can start working on for the next 4 years. And hopefully by 2028, we're in such a great position, right? That a Vivek Ramaswamy or a JD Vance or whoever gets the nomination, and hopefully it's someone based, and we're all still together and we're happy with how things are going, that we can stop this monster at the gate known as the UN and the WEF's Agenda 2030 from getting in here and completely destroying the country and spinning it into the technocracy known as stakeholder capitalism and all the other nastiness that's going to come with that idea, which has an underlying Marxist energy to it, Marxist philosophy to it. We have to stop this. These are the root cause issues we must address in the coming for the rest of this decade. And that's pretty much our fight. It's up to us to secure the future for our children and their children and their children. Otherwise, it's going to be the things nightmares were made of, and we'll be heading into our golden years and beyond. Not too pleased with the situation, and leaving way too much in our children's hands that were undoubtedly left in our hands that we didn't get done. So let's make sure we get it done. Let's all stick together through this whole journey with a great crowd like this and great people like you, and more waking up every day. We will get this done. Good will win. God will win. We will do this thing. All right. So thank you guys so much for coming out tonight. I really appreciate each and every one of you for being here. It's an honor to know you and to be with you in these times. I will be back 9 p.m. Eastern this Saturday night for Winning Saturday Night with special guest Talking Trash and Truth. That's right. It's our monthly visitors here. And we will be looking at lots of good news of the week. I got some great good news stuff for us, as well as funny videos and maybe some other stuff. Who knows? You just never know. But we're going to have a great time on Saturday night. That's our chill and just come back and relax and kick back and have fun. And that's what we're going to do on Saturday night. So I hope you'll join us. And I look forward to seeing you then. And I think I got everything said and done. So until next time, everybody out there, stay based, get active, remember to vote, and keep on winning.
From the wackos on the left to the MAGAs on the right, they know I'm beating Kamala. This race won't even be tied. Her policies are nutso, she's out her goddamn mind. She just repeats the same thing, regurgitating her lines. She thinks that immigration without paperwork is good. Clearly not too much power underneath Kamala's hood. Borders are, it's what you are. Borders are, borders are. Cackling Kamala, you're dumb. Mass inflation imminent if she weasels herself in. If that don't sound like fun to you, then you better help me win. I promise I'll secure you, you'll be in better hands. It'd be a flippin' free-for-all with what Kamala plans. Borders are, it's what you are. Borders are, borders are. Laugh it up, Kamala. They're slaves.